The Westlake Band program is raffling off a 2003 Sea-Doo GTI personal watercraft with trailer.
Help raise money to send the band to the Tournament of Roses parade New Year's Day. Tickets are $25 each. Only 500 will be sold. They're available for purchase in the concourse. The Westlake PTO is selling homecoming dinner tickets tonight, also below the stands. The dinner is being catered by Tres Amigos with dessert by Miles of Chocolate. Tickets are $8. Also, the Westlake PTO is taking orders for homecoming mums at the CHAP store. Please let people know and stop by and get your mum for homecoming. Selling car raffle tickets. It's an opportunity to win a 2003 Ford Mustang, Ford Explorer, or Ford F-150 Crew Cab, your choice. Tickets are $50 and only a limited number will be sold. Project Graduation is an alcohol and drug-free graduation celebrated by most, if not all, of our graduating seniors. Thousands of dollars worth of gifts and prizes are given away that night. Your support of Project Graduation is greatly appreciated. Tonight's game is going to be the game in town. As the scoreboard is indicating, these two teams are extremely close in all of their statistics. Tonight's game pits the number 2 team in Central Texas, the Westlake Chaparrals, against the undefeated number 3 Bowie Bulldogs. Chaparral. And welcome to the field, the Bowie Bulldogs.
Westlake, one post, 11.
The captains representing the Bowie Bulldogs, number 77, Drew Zaromsky. Number 10, Marcus Griffin. Number 20, Justin Grady. And number 63, Juan Lopez. For the Chaparrals, number 8, Hunter Coleman. Number 44, Joey Thomas. Number 49, Mark Malone. And number 65, Gino Troy. And now, please, the national anthem. Signing the national anthem tonight are ASL students Jenny Robertson and Rachel Fulmer. Officials for tonight's game, the referee is Howard Seitzman, the umpire Robert Creasy, the lineman Thomas Stevens, line judge is Brian Burkhart, the back judge David Havelka, the timer is Steve Harris, the chain crew is Larry French, Coulter Hege, and James Troxel is the boxman.
On the receiving team for the Chaparrals, across the front, Street, Dillard, Maroney, Bennett, and P. Across the middle, Gullo, Slutz, Joey Thomas, and in deep receiving, Landry Clark, Tyler Campbell, and Hunter Coleman. Teeing it up for the Bulldogs,
Robin Green, number 81.
The Chaps won the toss. They elected to receive, and Bowie will kick from our left to our right. It's Bowie and Westlake. Another edition of Westlake football here on the Zone. We're glad you're with us. The kickoff is very short. Taken, actually fumbled momentarily, and then picked up, advanced over the 25 to 30-yard line. And that's where the Chaparrals will start as Jordan Street moves it across the 30-yard line, an 18-yard return. And let's set that Westlake offense. Matt Crozier, this is from left to right. Crozier at left tackle, a 221-pound senior, up 25 pounds from last year. Ryan Lucas has won the starting position at the left guard, 250, he's a senior. Justin Bowles, the 240-pound senior, is the center. Gino Troy, 305 pounds, he's a senior at right guard. Olson is the right tackle. Joey Thomas, the tight end. 6'5", 220 pounds, and Walker hands off to Matthew Scott, who's dropped for a loss of 1 and a flag down on the play as Juan Lopez hit him, and some confusion on the exchange between Walker and the fullback Matthew Scott. Aaron Guards, the wideout, 15 receptions so far this season for 344 yards in the backfield. Tyler Campbell and Matthew Scott. Campbell went nuts last week, rushing for over 200 yards on the season. 67 carries, 457 yards, 5 touchdowns rushing, and 3 of them came last week. Matthew Scott only got 1 carry last week, and on the year, 35 carries, 202 yards. That's 5.8 yards per carry. He is the fullback, and the officials confer, and that gives us an opportunity to set the defense, John Badan.
Absolutely. The front line, this is a 4-3 defense, but again, as Mark Hodig mentioned, most of them play both ways. In fact, 6 defensive starters.
On the offense, previous spot, first down.
6 defensive starters play on offense as well, so we'll see how that plays out. The defensive front, left to right, Kenny Perio at left end, Drew Zaromsky at the tackle, Matt Egloff the right tackle, and Juan Lopez, who made that tackle on the first play, is the right end. Sam Imbriaco, Brandon Wright, and Ben Lasades are the linebackers. The corners are Keelan Davis and Justin Grady. Marcus Griffin and Michael Griffin are the safeties.
From the shotgun, Walker pumps right, throws right, overshoots everyone as the pass was intended for Tony Gulla. And now, before we get too far into the game, how about John Badani's keys to the game as you see them first for the Westlake Chaparrals?
Well, I suppose I should say convert this to a first down for Westlake. But for Westlake to win, I thought coming into the game they needed to establish Tyler Campbell, coming off his big performance, almost 260 yards a week ago. Get him off and running and make the defense have to react to that. Control Michael Griffin defensively. It's a guy with 64 carries this year, averaging 10 yards a pop. And maintain their focus. We'll elaborate more on that.
Straight back to pass. It's Walker all day to throw. Just dumps it off to Thomas at the 30 and dragged down from behind at the 34-yard line by Marcus Griffin, one of those two-way players. And a gain of, about 11 yards gets it back to the original line of scrimmage. And it's going to be 3rd and very long now. The penalty, we should point out, was holding against the Westlake offense on the first play of the game. So that backed him up, and then the deep ball that went incomplete, and this time the completion to Joey Thomas. And now the keys to the Bowie Bulldogs.
Well, I was going to say for Westlake, when I talk about maintaining your focus, you mentioned in the pregame, first 4 possessions of the second half, fumble, block, field goal, interception, and fumble. That can't happen. These are Bowie's keys when they get the ball.
Bill Walker
calls
a timeout. Let's do it now.
We can keep it here. All right, for Bowie to win, I really felt like the 3 things they needed to do. Number 1, establish Michael Griffin. 209 yards a week ago, you mentioned. He's an incredible performer. I'm sure that Coach Abels wants to do that. Get the ball into his hands at least 15, maybe 20 times. Make Westlake have to stop him. Number 2, very important for Bowie to survive the first 5 minutes of each half. Historically, when you take on Ron Trader's teams, they come into the game extremely well prepared, and they come out of halftime ready to end the game, basically. They make their adjustments, and they come after you, so you have to survive the first 5 minutes of each half. And I think finally for Bowie, quite honestly, dare to win. I mean, you've taken on Westlake 12 times. You haven't gotten it done ever. Don't be afraid to pull something out of the bag of tricks. I mean, if you feel like Westlake's going to key on Michael Griffin, pitch it to him and let him throw it. Halfback options, whatever you've got in your bag of tricks that you haven't tried up to now, go ahead and do it. Let your kids know that you're going to empty out all the stops and try to come away with a win.
And it is 3rd down, 9 yards to go for the Chaparrals. The football placed just inside the left hash mark, so the Chaps will need to get to their own 43-yard line to pick up the first down. So it's about their own 34-yard line. 10:39 to play first quarter. We're just underway. No score from Chaparral Stadium, and we're glad you're with us. us tonight for a good one as Westlake 4-1, Bowie undefeated 5-0 from the shotgun. Here's Walker. No pressure at all. Walker's going to scramble, and then he's knocked off his feet and dropped for a 1-yard loss, and the Chaps will have to punt. Great pursuit by Kenny Perio, the 6'2", 230-pound senior, as Walker had time to throw, but it looks like he got a little bit impatient there, John, and decided to run for it.
Yeah, I thought that he might have bailed out just a little bit early. Give Bowie's defensive front credit for staying in their lanes and not giving Walker any place to run.
So the Chaps will punt. It will be Richard Gray. And back deep to receive Brandon Clark, as there actually was a flag on the play. Offsetting penalty.
Yeah, this is just a little chippy down there. These are two teams in the southwest part of town that have a pretty intense rivalry. At least Bowie definitely has a rivalry with Westlake. You'd have to ask the Westlake kids if it's the other way around. But you can imagine the frustration.
It's not a rivalry if the other team doesn't win very often.
Well, yeah, I've heard that said before. Does a hammer...
After the play, personal foul on the defense. After the play, personal foul on the offense. Offset by rule, 4th down.
And that's Howard Seitzman, our referee. We should point out the umpire is Robert Creasy. The line judge is Brian Burkhart, the back judge David Havelka, and the head linesman Thomas Stevens. They're from right here in Austin.
A friend pointed out to me last year are a hammer and nail rivals.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's basically what you got here.
Here's Gray's punt, and it is a dandy. Backing up Brandon Clark. Now he takes it laterally across the 20, cuts it back toward the sideline, and wisely steps out of bounds at the 22-yard line. 3.6 seconds of hang time on that. A 53-yard punt and a 3-yard return for the Bowie Bulldogs, who get it for the first time tonight. 10:09 remaining in the first quarter. We are scoreless, and the Bowie Bulldogs take over on offense. And John Medani, they're led by the twins.
They absolutely are. Michael Griffin, Marcus Griffin. Whatever happens good for Bowie tonight, you know what? Whatever happens, period, for Bowie's offense tonight will come at their hands. Whether it's good or bad, they're going to have the ball in their hands pretty much every play of the game.
They start from their own 22. They move from our left to our right, and it's a handoff to, no surprise at all, Michael Griffin, the talented tailback. He picks up 6 before Yogi Yokubaitis pulls him down. Yokubaitis, the middle linebacker. Let's give you that offensive line from left to right. Jeff Seal at 250 pounds. Preston Huffington to his right at 255. The center, Bo Gilbo, 5'11", 205. He's a senior. Matt Staling is the right guard, 6'1", 210. He's a senior. Drew Zaromsky rounds out the line at 6'5", 255. Tight end is Kenny Perio. The quarterback is Marcus Griffin, his twin brother Michael behind him, and also Justin Grady. But this time it is Griffin once again on the handoff, and Michael is brought down by Jordan Street after a gain of 7 yards. Let's check that. That was Brandon Pennick wearing number 22 instead of Michael Griffin, number 42. So Pennick with an early carry in this one, only a sophomore, 5'10", 160. And that was enough to move the chains. A first down for the Bowie Bulldogs, their first of the contest. And Justin Grady, I was going to say, is the fullback, 5'10", 170 pounds with 53 carries so far this season. Here's Griffin, toss left, tries to cut it back inside, picks up 3 to the 40-yard line, and he was brought down by Michael McGinnity. There is a flag down on the play, and that gives us time to set the Westlake defense.
Yeah, and I think you're probably going to get holding here. It looked like Charles Nesbitt that time grabbed a hold of Mark Maroney and just pulled him to the ground. The Westlake defense up front, 5 men typically at the line of scrimmage, the 2 backers, the 3 down linemen. Left to right, they are Ty Linder, Mark Maroney, Josh Root, Bob Casper, and Michael McGinnity. Linder and McGinnity we've seen perform very well this year. In the middle, Yogi Yokubaitis will play, and Donnie Dillard starting tonight in for the injured Matt Balthasar. The corners are Coy Awney and Adrian Clark.
We had holding on the offense. Replay the down.
And the safeties are Jordan Street and Hunter Coleman does start. We thought it might be Dane Minnick, but Hunter Coleman does get the start tonight in the ballgame.
Well, the infraction against the Bowie offense, backing them up to their own 27-yard line.
There's a
high
surprise.
snap, and here's Marcus Griffin out of the shotgun, being pursued from behind in the grass. Dillard batted it away. It's loose on the ground and picked up by the Bowie Bulldogs as his brother Michael Griffin falls on it back at the 15-yard line.
I got to tell you, I don't know how they're going to call this a pass. Donnie Dillard with an amazing play came in, You know, the old Lawrence Taylor hammerlock, where you track a guy down from behind and bring that arm down on the throwing shoulder. That ball went straight up in the air. I don't know how you call that a throwing motion.
Well, the Bowie Bulldogs early in this one trying to move from our left to our right. Last two plays, the penalty, and then the fumble moving from our right to our left. It's back at the 18-yard line.
Well, they did call it a fumble, then. Good. I think that's the correct call. I really think that was a fumble.
I agree with you.
Bowie dodged a bullet there.
Shotgun, Griffin. He'll keep it on the quarterback draw. Pick up a couple yards to the 20. Still churning his feet. He's across the 25 to the 26-yard line. Tackled by Ty Linder. His 25th tackle of the season, a gain of 3. And it's going to be 3rd and a mile for the Bowie Bulldogs.
Well, I think they're already showing that they're going to come out and try to be a little unpredictable. You know, to have a shotgun formation and trips to the right in your first offensive possession is not what you would typically see with Bowie. With the Bowie offense. So they want to show Westlake a lot of different looks and see how Westlake's going to react defensively.
Again, Marcus Griffin in the shotgun. His brother Michael to his right. He gets the snap, surveying the field. Pressure coming up the middle. The ball is thrown down the right sideline. The ball is caught, but out of bounds, incomplete, intended for Brandon Clark. And on the coverage, Jordan Street along with Landry Clark. They were right there step for step, and Marcus Griffin took a shot. And if you're going to spread the field, you're going to be vulnerable up the middle, and Big Bob Casper came in and hit him pretty good.
Well, I like the fact that, from Bowie's perspective, that they tried to stretch the field. You know, you consider, suppose he gets intercepted, well, it's as good as a punt. You know, just get the ball down the field. The one thing they did show is that, number one, Marcus Griffin can throw, and number two, Perio can certainly catch.
Well, here's the punt by Jeff Green from the 15. It's not very good. It's a low-line driver, but takes a Bulldog bounce. And retreating is Hunter Coleman, who now cuts it upfield, picks up a couple of positive yards up to the 39-yard line. Just 2.7 seconds of hang time, a 41-yard punt. Most of that after the bounce and a 6-yard return. Well, it's good to see number 8 out there.
Well, he's obviously made an impact already. And obviously, the coaches are going to give him all the confidence in the world, let him get back there. You know, if you're a little bit rusty, if you haven't been in the game for a while, that's a tough spot to first come in and field punts. You know, a lot of times coaches like to get you into the game and let you ease into it, but having him back there right away to return punts shows a lot of confidence in him.
7:14 left to play in the opening quarter. No score from Chaparral Stadium. Westlake got it first from their own 33-yard line. They had to punt. They got off a 53-yard punt. And then Bowie had it, and they were forced to punt as well. Each team picked up a penalty on their first offensive series. Now the wide side of the field is the left side, and Bill Walker is in the shotgun, sends Campbell in motion to the right, so double receivers that direction. Walker, the lefty, looking right, throws down the middle for Garza. A reception! He laid out for it, hauled it in at the Bowie 27-yard line, full extension, and Michael Griffin got beat on the play. A 34-yard connection from Bill Walker to Aaron Garza.
You know, I'm not sure that Michael Griffin did get beat on the play. I just think that was an exceptional toss and an even better catch. And what great timing and body control for Garza. Yeah, I mean, he catches the ball, according to the replay, he catches the ball, and when he hits the turf, he's got the defender wrapped around his ankles. I mean, Griffin's all over him.
1st and 10, down the line option. Walker keeps spinning inside the 25 to the 24-yard line, and on the tackle is Big Juan Lopez, the 6', 230-pound senior, after a gain of 2. Back to that catch. It was a pass down the middle, and you always tell your quarterback, make sure your guy catches it or nobody catches it. And that, I really think on the play, no one should have caught it. Well, but Aaron Garza made a spectacular play.
There's not a lot of somebodies in the area that could have come down with it, but he did. You're not going to see it done any better than that.
No score, 6:16 left to play in the first quarter. Walker from the shotgun, looking right all the way. Throws to the end zone, great coverage. The ball is intercepted. Picked off by Marcus Griffin, and it will be a touchback. He threw into triple coverage, and the ball was caught by Marcus Griffin, the free safety, and the Bowie Bulldogs will take over on their own 20-yard line.
Tried to go back to the well a little bit too soon. I think Bowie feeling this thing. And we mentioned before on a spectacular catch by Garza that he was not necessarily open. Griffin was on his heels. It was just a tremendous effort to catch the football. So there wasn't really any need to believe that he was going to be wide open and go right back to the play. And in fact, he had 3 defenders in the area around him.
So the Bulldogs take over with 6:07 remaining in the first
We can do an
quarter.
update.
And Griffin comes to the line of scrimmage, split backs behind him, turns, hands the ball off to his brother Michael, who makes the first man miss, dancing his way up to the 29-yard line. And John, there's the vision you were talking about in the pregame show as Jordan Street brings him down after a gain of 9 yards.
Well, all the superlatives and all the tools you hear about this back and that back and what makes him so special, and you hear about balance and you hear about speed. I really believe, it's just my opinion, vision is the main thing, the main asset that a great running back can have. You see people coming from all different angles, and some running backs, beyond seeing them, feel it. You just feel where the pressure's coming from, and you just adjust your body a little bit to avoid it. Griffin has great vision.
From the Bowie 29, they move from our left to our right. Handoff. Griffin, he's got the first down. He's got 5 up to the 34, tackled by Bob Casper. No score here at Chaparral Stadium. Plenty of action around the Central Texas area. And for more on that, we head back to the studio and check in with Sam Waller.
Handoff goes to Michael Griffin, number 42. Jordan Street comes up to make the stop, number 25.
Bam, thanks a lot. 4:52 left to play first quarter. No score. A gain of 4 by Michael Griffin as he was met by the 255-pound senior Bob Casper along with Jordan Street. They combine on the tackle. It's now 2nd and 6 for the Bowie offense from the Bulldogs' 38-yard line. Again, the wide side of the field is the right side. Here's Marcus Griffin under center, split backs behind him, fake it to the first man, give it to the second man. It's Brandon Pennick who cuts in, then back out across the 40 to the 42, picks up 4:32 coming up as Donnie Dillard getting that start tonight in place of Matt Balthasar, who suffered his second concussion last week this season. And so he had an MRI earlier in the year, and he had 35 tackles to lead the team in tackles, and Donnie Dillard has filled in nice, forcing the fumble and now making that tackle.
Well, you see now a Bowie drive more characteristic of what they would like to do. There's not a lot of throwing involved, pretty much between the tackles, just a variety of running plays.
Turns, hands the ball off. This is Pennick going wide along the left side, cuts the corner, and has enough for the first down. He needed 2, he got 4. Jolted out of bounds by Jordan Street, who leads the team in interceptions, but that time he was defending the run, not the pass, and makes his 3rd tackle of the night. 3:37 left to play in the opening quarter, and we are scoreless.
Now, Martin, one of the byproducts of having an offense designed to run running between the tackles, and even then when you get outside, one of the keys is to stay in bounds. This is what Bowie wants to do. They want to keep the clock moving, never go out of bounds, shorten the game. I mean, they ran the ball 50 times last week in their win over Austin.
A wide receiver either way. Griffin turns, hands the ball off, and a short pickup for Jet Minor on his first carry of the game. Actually, we'll give him 4 up to midfield. Minor, the 5'10", 185-pound junior. So that's the 3rd guy who's carried the ball so far in this opening quarter for the Bowie Bulldogs. Ty Linder on the stop for the Chaps.
Boy, he's got to be fast. If you got a name like Jet, you got to be fast.
Do you think that was his birth name, or do you think that's a game that you acquire later on in life?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's got to be a birth name. I mean, 2 T's. If it's J-E-T-T, you got to figure that's a given name as opposed to a nickname.
Well, I guess, considering neither of us have kids, I don't think either of us is qualified to say. Here's Marcus Griffin firing down and overshoots everybody. He just threw it out of bounds as the nearest receiver was Matt Cartier, but he was about 20 yards away from where that ball landed out of bounds. So 2:39, the clock stops with that incomplete pass, and it's 2nd down and 6 yards to go for the Bowie offense. We asked both coaches earlier in the week, John, would you like a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game? And I guess to no one's surprise, Coach Schrader said, I'd like to see a high-scoring game, and Coach Abel said, I wouldn't mind a 13-10 ball game.
Absolutely. Well, that's what they know their personnel, and they know what their teams are suited for. I think Coach Schrader realizes that if he scores a lot of points, Bowie's going to have a tough time matching that because they primarily like to run the ball. If they get behind in a ball game, it's going to be tough for them to catch up.
Griffin in the shotgun, 5 wides, 3 to the right. Griffin pump fake, now he's in trouble, steps up, he'll run, and he picks up 2 yards to the 48 of Westlake. So the Bulldogs take it inside Chaparral territory for the first time tonight. Yogi Yokubaitis on the stop, and it helps when you have a quarterback who's a dual threat to run and pass, but not enough for the first down.
Yeah, it's very impressive, the drive. As long as they're milking the clock, if they can get through this first quarter and have it tied 0-0, I think that Bowie would be happy with that. Westlake might be a little bit disappointed if they got to feel like they had an opportunity to score down the red zone last trip down.
Well, two Chaparrals waiting for the punt, and here it comes. It is short, not a very good one. Takes a bounce at the 25, and Bowie will kill it dead at the 20. Let's go downstairs and check in with Chuck Ricotta. Chuck?
Guys, you saw the couple passes to Aaron Garza, the great Westlake receiver. Talking to the bench, I found out that they did put in a couple new plays this year, and they're designed to get the ball to Aaron Garza. So keep an eye on number 2 for Westlake tonight.
All right, Chuck, thanks a lot. Minute 49 left to play in the first. No score here at Chaparral Stadium as Westlake takes over, this time from their own 21-yard line. This is their third possession of the night. They have a punt and a penalty. Well, actually an interception, I should say, to show for it. As Bailey goes in motion to the right, it's a toss right to Tyler Campbell, his first carry of the night, and he cuts it back inside for maybe 3 up to the 23, 24-yard line before he's brought down by one of those talented Bowie Bulldog linebackers led by Brandon Wright, the 5'10", 220-pound senior. John, they have a defense that has 3 linebackers, and in the secondary they have 2 corners, a free safety, and a rover who pretty much acts like a linebacker.
Yeah, well, Michael Griffin can go where he wants to go. He follows the ball. That's one of the reasons that he stays in position deep and why they had double and triple coverage. Kenny Perio, the left end, who does play both ways, just found out what makes Tyler Campbell so special. He had him dead to rights, defeated his block, had him right there in the flat, could not take him down. Had him. I don't know how else to say it. He had him, reached out for him, put his hands on his hips, and suddenly Campbell was past him. So I think that's one of the things, and you talk about those kind of things when you get back in the defensive huddle. So, what happened? Tackle. You tackle. I tried to tackle. I mean, it's amazing the changes that happen during the course of the game.
Second down, call it 7 yards to go. Walker from the shotgun hands it off to Matthew Scott, running hard at right guard, and he's got 3 knocked off his feet by Aaron Keefe and Matt Egloff. Egloff, a member of the defensive line, and Keefe came up from his secondary spot to make the stop. As the clock winds inside, 1 minute to play in the opening quarter. 48, 47, 46 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And John, this is a game that, Coach Abels loves the tempo of.
Absolutely. One of the other things that's an advantage, well, we'll get back to that in just a minute.
On third down, toss left. It's Campbell with blockers. Cuts it up at the 30. Takes on a defender. Says no to a tackle. It was Marcus Griffin who stood him up. But Campbell, with the second effort, nets him what appears to be a first down as they will put the ball down and call for a measurement. No, they won't. They'll just signal for the first down on the gain of 5. 27 seconds remaining in the first quarter, and we are still scoreless. But a pretty good run by Tyler Campbell.
Terrific
last week.
Run.
A monster. 17 carries, 214 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So here is Walker, pump fake. Once, twice, throwing down the left sideline. Has Garza open, another great reception. And he lands at the 37 of Bowie. Aaron Keefe was the nearest defender, but Garza hit the ground, stopping the play. A gain of 32. So Garza has a reception of 34 yards, where the ball should have been thrown 33 yards, and a 32-yard reception now, which would have benefited him if it was a 31-yard pass, because he's made 2 phenomenal receptions here in this opening quarter.
Yeah, I suppose if you're Bowie's defense, their coaches, you have to just say, well, you don't defend that. You can't defend that. There's no way to stop that. It's just tremendous ability on Garza's part.
Line of scrimmage is the 36, and Scott plows forward at left guard for 2, and Juan Lopez on the tackle, and that is the end of the first quarter. A quarter that I think the Bowie Bulldogs will feel a little bit better about than the Westlake Chaparrals. They wanted a low-scoring game. You can't get much more low-scoring than this. After 1 quarter of play, it is Westlake nothing, Bowie nothing, and Chaparral football continues in a moment.
Want to let everybody know that the boys golf team is off to a great start. They've won all three of the tournaments that they've entered so far. The tennis team has continued on their winning streak by beating Bowie 15-0, San Antonio Park 16-3, San Antonio Marshall 14-3. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day in Westlake Stadium. Cordially invited to attend the 26th Westlake Marching Festival this Saturday, October the 12th, from 9 a.m. to 10:40 p.m. Chaparral Stadium. 30 bands across the state are expected to attend. The festival will include a special exhibition performance by the Westlake High School CHAP.
And we welcome you back to Chaparral Stadium. 1 quarter in the books, no score. Westlake and Bowie. The Chaps 4-1 on the season, 2-0 in District 25-5A. Bowie undefeated 5-0, and they are also a perfect 2-0 in district play. What about your impressions of the first quarter, John?
I think it's exactly what Bowie wanted. I think Westlake feels great about Garza, but I think they feel badly for a missed opportunity, the interception in the Bowie end zone.
Tight end set up on the right for Walker, who hands to Campbell at right guard, and he is stood up and stacked and knocked to the ground at the 30-yard line. They're going to give him the 30-yard line for forward progress, which would be a gain of 2, but he got driven back about 5 yards, combining on the tackle Ben Elisaris and Derek Prillup. Downstairs to our sideline reporter, Chuck Licata. Chuck?
Hey, Mark, Justin Grady, number 20 for Bowie, who plays fullback and quarterback. He's one of the 5 guys that starts both ways. He is on the sidelines right now, sitting on the bench. He's got an ice pack on his left thigh. He said he injured it while being blocked. He expects to return to the game, but doesn't know when. Guys?
Chuck, thanks. 30 seconds into the second quarter, and Westlake on the move. This drive started back at their own 22-yard line, and the Chaps took it inside Bulldog territory on a 32-yard connection from Bill Walker to Aaron Garza.
Prior to the snap, substitution infraction, defense 5 yards, previous spot, first down.
That's our referee, Howard Seitzman.
And one of the points I was trying to make, Westlake unfortunately had a lot of problems with injuries, little injuries, nickel and dime stuff early in the year. What that allowed Westlake to do was develop some depth. They got a lot of production from their sophomores. Now they can use that in a game situation. They can bring in Justin Joyce. They can bring in Brian Bailey or Tony Gullah. That way in the fourth quarter, their guys will be fresh while Bowie's guys are playing both ways.
Good point. Now on 1st and 10, it is Walker throwing to the end zone. Corner of the end zone, touchdown, Chaparral. Aaron Garza with his 3rd reception of the night, and they have all been phenomenal. 25 yards, Bill Walker to Aaron Garza, and the Chaps are on the board first.
Well, and Keelan Davis is running step for step with Garza, no doubt about it, but he never turned and looked for the ball. One of 2 ways you can do it. I mean, once you hit the end zone, and let's face it, he was in the end zone. You got to know, you got to use the back end line like another defender. You know that the man's not going to run too far. He's only got another 10 yards to go. So I think it would have been in Davis's interest to turn and look for the ball.
Dane Minnick will hold for Richard Gray. And the extra point is blocked. It is loose on the ground, and it might be scooped up by the Bulldogs. It is. And Griffin takes it out to the 47-yard line. So special teams, we said, may be a factor, and there's some proof of that right now. Downstairs to Chuck Licata.
Hey, guys, on that extra point block, Jerron Poole got in. Great surge up the middle by the Bowie defenders, and Jerron Poole is the guy who got his hand on the ball and made the block.
Well, give Dane Minnick a lot of credit for not quitting on the play. I mean, there are points at stake now with those kicks, so he was able to stay with it and run down the Bowie defender and make sure that no points were had for him.
11-11 left to play here in the first half. Let's go back to the studio for a baseball update, and here's Sam Waller.
We want to let you know about the Eanes Elementary School Sunset Stampede, the Fall Family Festival. Will be held
Nearly a
on
minute gone
October
by here in the
20th
second
on
quarter.
Eanes
It's 6-0
campus.
after the Chaps
Carnival booth.
go down the field from their own 22-yard line and get into the end zone, but the extra point was blocked. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. It's the Chap 6 and the Bulldogs nothing.
Gray tees it up for the Chaparrals. Brandon Clark and Justin Grady team for the Blue Bulldogs.
So the Chaps now will kick off from our left to our right. And back deep is Brandon Clark along with Brandon Pennick. So a pair of Brandons back deep as Richard Gray gets his bare foot into it and sends it back very deep. Brandon Clark will take it out 2 yards deep to the 5 to 10 and zigzagging through the heart of the Westlake special teams unit up to the 18-yard line. And that's where the Bowie Bulldogs will get it for the third time tonight. What about that last drive, John?
Well, I think it was definitely impressive. A 7-play drive, covered 79 yards, 3.5 minutes off the clock. But I think the most impressive thing we've seen tonight has been Aaron Garza. And if you're the Bowie defensive coaches, you got to say, well, how do we stop that? Well, I'm not real sure. I mean, none of the throws were necessarily great throws, and all of them could have been incomplete. Garza is just the best player on the field for the last 15, 20 minutes.
No doubt about it. Marcus Griffin under center for the Bowie Bulldogs. He'll turn, hand the ball off to his brother Michael with a huge hole. Cuts outside at the 30, 35, 40, 45 midfield, and he goes down the sideline 80 yards for a touchdown for the Bowie Bulldogs. 1 cut, 2 cuts, bolted outside, and there he went down the right sideline. John Bedani, I don't think anyone touched him.
You know what? I'm not sure his feet were on the ground. If you look closely, I think he's got wings. I'm not sure about legs. Once he hit that spot, bounced it to the outside of the right hash, it was over. I mean, you hate to say that, but, I mean, Mark, because you're doing the play-by-play, you could have said gone much earlier.
I could have said gone at the 35.
That's what I'm talking about. It was obvious, angle or no angle, there was not anyone on the field that was going to catch him once he hit the sideline.
Here's the extra point attempt.
I've never seen him
Robin
run
Green.
at real speed before.
No.
That was real time, was frightening.
Good snap, good hold. Green's extra point is up, and it is good. So just like that, the Bowie Bulldogs answer the scoring strike of the Chaparrals. And 10:48 separating us from halftime. It's Bowie 7, Westlake 6. Chaparral football continues in a moment.
We've got an academic achievement that we'd like to announce tonight. I hope everybody is familiar with the Advanced Placement Test, the AP test as they're called. 1,848 Texas public school students took the Physics B AP exam. And you have to try to score a 3, a 4, or a 5, with 5 being the top scorer in the state of Texas. Of the 1,845 students in Texas that took that test, 34% of all the 5s came from Westlake High School.
.10:48 to play in the first half, and we have a ball game. The Bulldogs leading the Westlake Chaparral 7-6. How do you answer a long touchdown drive? Well, I don't think it matters how long it is, just as long as you match the touchdown, which Bowie did on one play. Michael Griffin down the right sideline, 80 yards for the equalizer. 14 seconds officially the time of possession. I think he got there faster.
I think you're right. Here's the kickoff from our right to our left, and it's just a squibber that goes out of bounds, and, of course, that draws the flags. I don't know if that was intended or not.
Knuckleball.
So the Chaparrals will get it for the 4th time this evening. And they looked pretty impressive the last time they had it on offense.
They moved the ball fine. They moved the ball on their second possession, Mark. The first possession of the game, they were hindered because of penalties. They never really gained much on it. They had to kick it away. The second possession,
procedure, kick out of bounds. On Bowie, Westlake is elected to take the ball at the out-of-bounds spot, 1st and 10.
The second possession, they made their way down the field, but through the interception in the end zone. So we shouldn't see anything different from Westlake here. They've already shown they can move the football.
Well, I guess we got a good look at Michael Griffin.
Yeah. Because we're up here, I'm not sure anybody at field level saw much of him.
They just saw the streak going by. Bill Walker has it in the shotgun. The Chaps have it at their own 31-yard line, moving from our left to our right. It's a handoff to Campbell on the draw, and he's across the 35, 6, and the 37-yard line, picks up 7. And Aaron Keith brings him down. Hard running up the middle for Tyler Campbell. And he missed a game a couple of weeks ago with a bruised kidney as he took a pretty big shot in that Smithson Valley game. And he sits out a game, then he comes back. He sat out the victory over Seguin. Not that the Chaps really needed him in that one. And comes back and runs all over the Aikens Eagles, and he's at it again tonight. Clock on the move, 10 minutes left to play in the first half, and Westlake trailing Bowie 7-6. Campbell in motion to the right. Walker, pump fake, throwing right. This time for Gullah. He's got him, and Gullah spins around the defender. Keith cuts it back left at the 30, now the 25, and Griffin tackles him at the 20-yard line. What a play by Tony Gullah. He had the defender thinking he was stepping out of bounds, and then just spun on a dime. What a great pivot, and picks up an additional 15 yards and a gain of 42. These receivers are making Bill Walker look pretty good tonight.
Well, that's just second effort. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that since quarterback Todd Dillon did it for the Houston Gamblers about 1 billion years ago. It's just a sucker punch. You're headed out of bounds, the defense relaxes a little bit, then you stop, you pivot, and you head back into field.
9:41 left to play in the second quarter, and the Chaps on the move. They have it down at the 20-yard line of Bowie. Out of the shotgun, fake the handoff to Campbell. Pressure coming up the middle. Walker escapes, running to his right. Remember, he's a lefty now at the 20, the 15, and drilled out of bounds at the 12-yard line by Marcus Griffin, who got a helmet right in the gut of Bill Walker. But Bill Walker scrambles for 8 when he could have been sacked for a 5-yard loss.
Well, for at least the third time now in the first half, a Bowie defender has gotten very close to Walker and has not been able to bring him down. That time it was Preston Huffington who had a shot at him, but Walker, showing his elusiveness, was able to get away. It was a good point by you on the call that he is a lefty and he was scrambling to his right. He probably would not have had very many opportunities to square his body and make a good throw.
No, he would have had to throw on the run. 9:25 left to play in the half. Westlake trailing Bowie 7-6. And the Chaps burn a timeout. We take it with them. It's the Chaps trailing by 1, but they're on the move, and you're listening to Westlake football on AM 1300 The Zone.
Kids programs up. Kids programs up. We're going to give away 4 guest passes to Westlake Beach. If you've got program number 990, 990, come on up to the post box.
Second down and 12 for the Chaps, or second and 2, I should say, from the 12-yard line. Here's Bill Walker coming to the line of scrimmage with 23 seconds to get the play off. Turns, hands the ball to Scott, following his blockers, running over a man, and he's down to the 8-yard line. He lost the football, and the Bowie Bulldogs have fallen on it. He's pleading his case, saying he's down, but Matthew Scott has fumbled for the 3rd time this season. Kenny Perio on the recovery.
Well, I got to say that live action looked like a fumble to me. And it looked like the man that brought it out was Sam Imbriaco as he was tugging and trying to pull Scott down to the turf. He just gave a little extra yank to that football and had it pop out. And I didn't know if the officials were going to see it or not, but it looked like Imbriaco just reached in there and stripped that football on the way down.
So the Bowie Bulldogs take over inside their own territory at their own 8-yard line. Field position has not been very kind to the Bowie Bulldogs. Griffin starts right, reverses his field, snakes inside the 10, up to the 11-yard line. He ran about 15 yards, but he picks up 3, maybe 2 positive yards out across the 10. Started at his own 8. So the clock on the move now, 9:03 remaining here in the second quarter, and Bowie has a 7-6 lead. If you're just joining us, the Chaps scored at the 11-11 mark of this quarter on a 25-yard touchdown pass from Bill Walker to Aaron Garza. They missed the extra point, which was blocked, and Bowie comes back one play later. Marcus Griffin, an 80-yard run. This time another handoff. It's Jet Miner, flags down on the play. So is the Bowie ball carrier at the 12-yard line. Short pickup. Gain of 2.
Well, Bowie at this point has to feel fortunate. Now you've got Westlake throwing an interception in the red zone. Now you've got a fumble in the red zone. I mean, if you get into the red zone, which by red zone we're talking about inside the 20s, you want the opponent's 20. You got to come away with points, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. You need points in that situation. This penalty is going to go against Bowie.
Here's Howard Seitzman, our referee, on the call.
An illegal shift. Offense. Decline. 3rd down.
So now the Bowie Bulldogs moving the wrong direction. Instead of going from right to left, going from left to right. 8:36 remaining in the opening half, and the Bulldogs leading 7-6. In fact, the only thing the Chaps are leading is the turnover battle. Well, they have 2, and the Bulldogs have 1. That's not something that they would like to have.
We talked at the open of the game to eliminate the mistakes and focus a little better. So far, they haven't been able to accomplish that.
Here's Marcus Griffin back to pass, throwing deep down the left sideline. The ball in and out of the hands of Brandon Clark. That's one he'd love to have back on the coverage. It was Jordan Street and Landry Clark, but that's what should have been a gain of about 30 yards, John.
Well, we talked about stretching the field, which is something Bowie hasn't customarily done. Now, that's the second deep ball thrown tonight by Marcus Griffin, both of them on target.
Yep.
They just haven't been able to his receivers haven't been able to bring him in. That's into double coverage, and that's right on the money. That's got to get caught.
Well, the Chaps will get great field position. Last week, several times they started in Aikens territory and came away with nothing. So one of the keys to this one, as we discussed early on, was taking advantage of a short field. Now, the Bowie Bulldogs may have too many guys on the field because there's a flag down before they get to the
This is going to be that illegal participation again, and they're going to have a talk with the officiating crew.
Of dead ball, substitution infraction on the offense, 12 men on the field.
At halftime, because now what you get is an exasperated coach screaming, "What are we doing?" I mean, here's the deal. We'll stop committing that penalty if you tell us why you're calling, because we'll have our kids not do that. But, I mean, that's just got to make you crazy as a coach. You're just giving up 5 yards at a time for no reason.
Well, the punter is Clint Harnden, and he will get it away from his own end zone.
Now, he hasn't been stellar so far, so Westlake could end up with amazing field position.
Hunter Coleman and Jordan Street awaiting this thing at the Bowie 42-yard line. High snap over the head of Harnden. How about that, John?
Well,
just a safety.
Yeah.
2 points.
It's
the easiest 2 points the Chaps have got, and they got the lead on a safety.
They finally cashed in and got some points in the red zone.
Downstairs to Chuck Licato, who I'm sure is going to have some expert analysis on this one.
I don't know. It's pretty simple, Mark. The snap went so high over Herndon's head, he didn't even try to jump for it. The ball was at least 3 feet over his head out of the end zone, and, well, not exactly the prettiest way to take the lead, but the Chaps do, as you said, have the lead now.
You know, and maybe the bigger point, you certainly hope the ballgame doesn't come down to that. At least you hope not if you're Bowie. But they had a 1-point lead. Now they trail by 1 point. You sure hate for that to be the difference in the ballgame if it comes to that.
8:13 remaining in the opening half, and it is Westlake now on top of Bowie, 8-7, and they're going to have a short field once again because after the safety, Bowie will be forced to kick from its own 20. They'll have the option of the kick or the punt.
Yeah, this is interesting, too, because I think that their kicker was a lot more effective kicking off the tee. I'm sure that he's a fine punter, although he hasn't had an opportunity to prove that tonight. You know, he struggled on a couple of kicks, and, I'm not sure if they don't fare better just putting this one on a tee.
Well, Jeff Abels just has to be livid right now because his defense forces the fumble on Matthew Scott. They recover, and then they go the wrong direction on the penalty, and then it gives them an even shorter field with which to punt, and the snap goes over his head, and now they're kicking back off to Westlake, and the Chaps have the lead.
Well, it's frustrating because you say your offense is screaming at your defense is screaming at your offense. Come on, guys, do something. Well, it's the same guys. I mean, there are 6 guys that play both ways. They're just playing a little bit better defensively right now than they are offensively.
They'll actually punt.
Yeah, they are.
And it was Michael Griffin, the punter, and it's fielded at the Westlake 48-yard line by Joey Thomas, who runs laterally across the 48 and cuts it up across midfield to the 49 of Bowie, and he's stopped by Aaron Keith, and the Chaps will get a short field with which to work. Let's go back to last week, John, and against Aikens, 4 or 5 times they start inside Aikens territory in the second half, and they come away with a fumble, an interception, and another turnover. It wasn't pretty for Coach Schrader, and he was very upset with his team's execution.
Well, that's what we talked about. To be specific, 2 fumbles, a blocked field goal, and an interception. Well, tonight they had an extra point blocked. They've thrown an interception in the red zone, and they fumbled in the red zone. And these are the mistakes. These are just a carryover from last week. He's got to not like that too much.
Walker hands off to Campbell, running over a defender and taking it down to the 42-yard line as Ben Alisaris had Campbell in his sights. And then when the play was over, he was on his back looking up at Tyler. And now 2nd and short coming up for the Chaparrals. And if you coach Schrader, you got to like big gains on 1st down. And now 2nd and we'll call it 2.5, as the Chaps will have to take it to the 39.5 to pick up a 1st down. So 7:34 remaining in the opening half. And Westlake now has the lead 8-7 after that safety moments ago. Joey Thomas set up, tight end on the right, a wide receiver either way. Walker back 5 steps, looking right, pressure coming, scrambles out left. Now at the 45, doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage. He'll lose 2 on the play as Michael Griffin, the talented running back and rover back, going both ways tonight, brings down Walker for the 2-yard loss. And it's now 3rd and about 5 coming up for the Chaparrals.
Mark, in the open, one of the things we talked about was establishing Tyler Campbell on the heels of his great performance a week ago. What was he going to do this week? Well, he's carried the ball 5 times tonight. The last 2 times he's touched it, he's gone for 7 yards each time. I really think that's what Coach Schrader would like to do, at least to close out the half. I think they'll go back between the tackles, establish Campbell. If they can run the ball these last 45 yards and stick one in the end zone completely on the ground, they'll take some fight out of Bowie's defense.
4 wides for Bill Walker. Pressure coming from both sides. Throws it out right, a little bit underthrown, intended for Garza, and it falls incomplete. On the coverage, it was Marcus Griffin and Brandon Clark. And Garza's great when the ball's not near him and it's high.
Yeah, right.
But if it's on the ground, there's not a lot he can do about it. He can't scoop it up.
He's amazing, but he's not infallible. Can't catch them all. Bowie is getting some good pressure right now.
Yeah, they are.
On Bill Walker. They're not to the point where he's necessarily in harm's way, but whatever is happening for Westlake offensively has to happen within 3.5 seconds because Bowie is getting penetration.
Walker 5 of 7, 144 yards. Here's Gray to punt, pressure up the middle, but it gets it away. It will bounce at the 10-yard line and take a Bulldog bounce the other direction before Michael McGinnity kills it dead at the 12. 3.2 seconds of hang time, a 35-yard punt without a return. And the Bulldogs again take over inside their own territory. How about the starting field position for the Bulldogs, John? Their own 22, their own 20, their own 19, their own 8, and now their own, 12-yard line?
Well, comparatively, Westlake's got to feel really badly about not being able to cash in on a drive that started in Bowie territory. They had that ball at the 49-yard line and had to punt that ball away.
Marcus Griffin, the senior quarterback, under center with a wingback left, and it's a toss left to Michael Griffin, who tries to cut it against the grain, but he is met by Mark Maroney, the 213-pound senior, his first tackle of the night for a loss of 1, and it's 2nd and 11 coming up.
Maroney did a nice job of stringing that out, making sure that he couldn't give any lanes to Griffin. He had him hemmed up so that he couldn't really bounce outside of Maroney, and he couldn't really cut back in. He just had him dead to right. Just very well played by Maroney.
So 2nd down, 11 yards to go. We're inside 6 minutes of play in the opening half in a very low-scoring one from Chaparral Stadium. It's Westlake 8 and Bowie 7. This time a toss to Pennick, and Pennick met at the line of scrimmage by McGinnity for a gain of 1. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Jokubaitis there on the stop as well. And it's now 3rd down and 10 yards to go. Maybe 9.5 if the Bowie Bulldogs are lucky. They'll need to get it out to the 23. And Bowie so far on 3rd down conversions just 1 of 4.
Well, now we've seen them throw the ball. They can throw. They haven't completed passes, but we've seen them throw the ball, and they've done a fairly good job of it. But right now, we've got to see them complete. I think they're going to have to throw this one.
Well, it looks like that's the formation they're going to choose. 3 wideouts to the right, 1 to the left, and the shotgun for Griffin. And they hand it off on the draw to Michael, and Michael tackled from behind, chased down very nicely, and dropped at the 20-yard line. Jokubaitis and Linder combined on the stop, and that will force the Bowie Bulldogs to punt once again. So Westlake will get a short field, and let's see if they can take advantage of it this time. The gain of 8 by Michael Griffin, and so Griffin on the night has carried it 9 times for 116 yards, but the biggest one on his 5th carry when he went 80 yards to the house.
So you subtract that, and he's got about 8 carries for 36 yards, which is still not that bad.
But you got to like a guy who's got that game-breaking ability.
Well, that'll put the fear in the defense because now you're afraid to take chances. You just almost want to play kind of in a prevent mode.
This time a very good snap, and the punt is away from Herndon. Fair catch signaled for by Coleman and then taken by Jordan Street. There was a flag down at the line of scrimmage and another one down on the spot where the punt was fielded by Jordan Street. So Hunter Coleman signals for a fair catch, and Jordan Street comes over and makes the catch. Either way, it's a 30-yard punt, but I'm guessing it's not going to stand.
Well, no, the problem is that you have one team member that'll signal for a fair catch and the other team member who catches it and runs. Once a team has signaled for a fair catch, nobody on that team can take off, and that's going to be a penalty. And I think officially what they call it is delay of game, although I guess we'll find out.
But there was a flag on the snap. Here's the call. It was a false start on the offense, and you're right, delay a game on the defense.
So you can't. Now one of them is a dead ball though, so the play should stand. Well, no, you'll have to kick it over because of the illegal procedure.
Yeah, and that's what the Westlake coaching staff is signaling. They want them to go back and kick it again.
Yeah, it's not an offsetting situation because one of them is a post-possession, technically a post-possession foul. It's a dead ball foul.
So 4:08 left to play in the second quarter. Westlake on top of Bowie 8-7. While they sort this out, a chance to pass along this reminder. Number 2 Texas, number 3 Oklahoma. It's the Red River Shootout, and we've got it for you tomorrow right here on The Zone. The pregame coverage begins at 11:30 from the State Fair. Kickoff at 2:30 right here on AM 1300. The Zone.
The game tomorrow?
It is tomorrow.
Sneaks up on us every year.
No, it doesn't. It's the second weekend in October. I mean, that's the only thing you look forward to.
I've been dreaming of those Fletcher's corn dogs for about 6 days now.
Yep. And you're probably going to have about 6 of them tomorrow.
No, give me a.
What's your record for Fletcher's corny dogs?
I don't know.
10 of them in a year or in a fair?
I think it was 10. I don't remember much after 8.
Well, they're talking to head coach Ron Schrader, and maybe Chuck Licata can shed a little light on this. And let's go downstairs and check in with our sideline reporter, Chuck Licata. Chuck?
Guys, as John said, the post-possession penalty came against Bowie, so we expected
We had a live ball illegal procedure against the offense, kicking team. We had a dead ball delay against the receiving team. We'll go back, we'll re-kick 4th down from the previous spot.
There you go.
So what took him so long?
I don't know.
We had that 6 minutes ago.
I was afraid he might say the penalties will offset. And I said, well, no, live ball penalties don't offset dead ball penalties.
Let's go back downstairs to Chuck. And Chuck, what about the morale of the Westlake team right now as they're clinging to a 1-point lead with 4 minutes left in the half?
Well, guys, they're actually pretty up right now. Outside of that one big run that they gave up to Griffin, the defense has done a great job to contain Griffin in the backfield. And I'm not exactly sure why we had that 6-minute delay on this penalty, which you guys called from the get-go.
We should be officials.
No. We do not want to be officials. Officials work very hard for not much money.
And their outfits aren't very attractive, let's be honest.
That's a fair point.
Clint Herndon. And this is kind of an adventure because, remember, earlier in this quarter, the snap went over the head of Herndon. And I know Bowie was glad just to get a perfect snap that last time after the one earlier in the quarter.
Now here's the other point. Now on the free kick following the safety, they had Griffin kick the ball away.
Yep, they did.
But for whatever reason, that's not something they want to stick with. They would like for Herndon to keep back in punt formation.
Well, John Davis is the deep snapper. And a high snap fielded by Herndon and nearly blocked by Linder. Make that McGinnity. And it is taken by Jordan Street, who starts right, cuts it back left, and gets creamed at midfield. And that time, to me, it looked like he was signaling for the fair catch. I saw some waving on that. And maybe he was just waving his guys away. But McGinnity nearly blocked that thing. And Brandon Pennick is the guy who got down there and was able to tackle Street.
Sometimes it's very difficult. In daytime games, when you play Saturday day games, a lot of times guys will have their hand in the air because they're trying to shield the sun from their vision so they can catch a ball, and I've seen that miscalled plenty of times. No, you called a fair catch. No, I couldn't see. But that certainly shouldn't be an issue here, but there aren't even any light standards in the end zone.
Short field for the Chaps. They get it at midfield. And on the inside trap, it's a handoff. And Brian Bailey picks up 4 around the right side as he's stopped by Sam Imbriaco and Kenny Perio. And 2nd and 6 coming up. 3:51 left to play in the second quarter. Westlake scored first, a 25-yard touchdown pass from Walker to Garza. And they missed the extra point as it was blocked. The Bulldogs come back on the next offensive play and go 80 yards as Michael Griffin finds the end zone. And then a safety as Bowie snaps it over the punter's head. And that gives the Chaps 2 points, and that's where we're at, 8-7. Fake the handoff to the first guy. Give it on the man inside, and it's Garza still on his feet down to the 30-yard line. He's got about 16 yards on the gain, but there is a flag on the play as Matt Egloff brings down Aaron Garza.
Yeah, right around the area Gino Troy had pulled and came down the line. And I'm not sure if he's who they're going to catch that on. It was either.
It might have been on Joey Thomas.
Yeah, I was going to say it could be he or Joey Thomas. But they were both in the vicinity of where that flag was thrown.
And it is, I believe, a spot foul here, John.
Yeah, well, it is. Holding is always a spot foul.
Howard Seitzman.
Offense, 10 yards, previous spot. Replay, second down.
So there's the call from Howard Seitzman, who I think he's spoken more than we have tonight.
You know, let me give credit to both teams in the way that they're coached and the way that they're schooled. The one thing we've noticed from all ball carriers from both sides tonight is that spin technique. You know, they've been doing it for a billion years. You know, the running backs, they go through the little gauntlet, and you have either dummies or live drill, but you have a ball in your hands, and whenever you feel the contact, you're supposed to spin opposite the way of the contact. Nice job, but they're very well coached. You can tell everybody's spinning, getting the most they can out of the carry.
On 2nd and 15, Walker to pass. He's flushed out to the right, and he is sacked and dropped at the 42-yard line. A loss of 2 on the play as he was brought down by Preston Huffington. Huffington, the backup defensive end, 6 foot, 255. He's a senior, and he makes the stop, and it's 3rd and very long for the Chaparrals. 2 times in a row, John, they've started with that short field at the Bowie 49, this time at midfield, but they're going the wrong direction, and they have it back at their own 42.
Huffington's another one of those guys. He's the starting left guard on offense. I continue to be amazed at the guys that can play at this level, the 5A level, both ways, and keep their intensity and their ability up for the duration of the game. I mean, I know they're young men, but it's not easy.
5 wideouts. Here's Walker. Creamed as he throws, and the ball goes off the chest of Joey Thomas. Had he caught the ball, he would not have picked up the first down. But Bill Walker took a shot upon releasing that thing.
Yeah, that would be Sam Imbriaco who forced the fumble on the last Westlake possession. He came in on a blitz.
Straight up the middle.
Yeah.
And just creamed it.
And I'm talking face to face, as if Walker knows what Imbriaco had for the pregame meal.
And Marcus Griffin there on the coverage on Joey Thomas. So a punt from Richard Gray. And the barefooted kicker gets off a very nice punt that bounces at the 25-yard line. It nearly hit a player there and cascades down to the 15 as Brandon Clark leaves it alone. A 43-yard punt without a return. If you're Coach Schrader, you can't be happy with that short field. The field position has been dominated by the Chaps, but they only have 8 points to show for it.
Well, I think what makes him more frustrated, it's one thing if another team out-executes you and beats you. It's another thing if you are your own worst enemy and you're shooting yourself in the foot because of turnovers or penalties, and that's really what's happening. I mean, Bowie's playing good defense. Westlake is playing good defense, but I think both sides would just like to. They're going to talk about mistakes at the half in both locker rooms.
Field position, though, has not been kind to the Bowie Bulldogs. Not at all. Their own 15 this time. And they're moving from our right to our left. We're inside 2 minutes to play in the half. Westlake ahead by a point, 8-7. From the shotgun, Marcus Griffin fakes the handoff, and he'll keep it on the draw out across the 25. He's got the first down as he picks up 10.5, call it 11. And he was stopped by Donnie Dillard, who is filling in very nicely for Matt Balthasar tonight. Balthasar out with that concussion. Minute 50 left to play in the half, and let's see if the Bulldog offense gets a little change, maybe a little kickstart here because the clock is winding down in the half.
Well, they've got plenty of time. We saw them go 80 yards in 14 seconds. Anytime you have the Griffins in your backfield, you've got danger.
Shotgun, Griffin fakes the handoff to his brother, rolls out right, still on his feet, got 2, maybe 3 yards up to the 28-yard line. And now just a minute 24 remaining.
Well,
Warming up on the near sideline, John, is Turner Wimberly.
Yeah, he's been throwing now for a couple of minutes, and you got to wonder if maybe that's just to stay loose because maybe there's an injury. We already saw that Bill Walker had the wind knocked out of him. You certainly don't want to speculate as to any injury, but he seems to be fine. He's standing on the sidelines, drinking some water. He's not sitting down or laying down. Maybe that's just Schrader's way of shaking up his offense, saying, look, if we can't be any more effective than we are, I will make a change. I have 3 quarterbacks that can play these guys.
Shotgun Griffin. Now 5 wide receivers as he sends his brother out to the left. He's got good protection, throws down the right sideline, and the ball is caught at the 30-yard line of Westlake. Check that, the 32-yard line. It was hauled in by Brandon Clark, his first reception of the night, and it goes for a 40-yard gain. And, John, it looked for a moment like Jeff Abels was going to play it conservatively and go into the locker room down by 1, but he goes to the 5 wideouts, and a 40-yard connection. They're in business at the Westlake 31, 32-yard line with 40 seconds left in the half.
Now, I'm not sure how much of a gamble that is. And, again, I hate to impugn a punter, but let's face it. If that ball had been intercepted, that would have netted more yards than a punt would have based on how they've been kicking it tonight. So I'm not sure how much of a riverboat gambler Coach Abels is by unleashing that one. But, again, that's the 3rd good deep ball we've seen thrown. The first one that Bowie receivers were able to catch.
The Chaps will rush 3. Griffin from the shotgun. Pressure coming up the middle. Scrambles out to the right. He'll run with it. Back to the line of scrimmage. He's got 5 yards, steps out of bounds after a gain of 6 at the 24-yard line. Stopping the clock with 32 seconds remaining in the half. Jordan Street chased him out of bounds, but a heady play by the quarterback, Marcus.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to cut it back to the center of the field, he steps out of bounds and stops the clock.
And he pulled a little Michael Vick trick, I like to call it, when he was at Virginia Tech. Headed for the sidelines, he takes his off arm, his left hand, and he'll point into the ground as if to say, you block this guy. Now the defender that's coming in is wary because he thinks he's going to cut inside, and instead he just simply takes a little step out of bounds, got the maximum amount of yardage, and then took a step out of bounds, never got hit.
There is a timeout on the field, and that gives us an opportunity to go downstairs and check in with Chuck Licata.
Mark, you guys were just talking about Turner Wimberly warming up on the sideline. I'd actually talked to Bill Walker as he came out the field on the last offensive play. He said he was fine, and then I asked Wimberly after he got done warming up, I said, did Coach ask you to start warming up? He said, no, I just wanted to stay loose just in case, guys.
All right, Chuck, thanks. Well, maybe if he's got to throw the playbook out the window, he needs his arm to be loose. John Medani.
Well, I think anything's possible. I mean, at this point, the Westlake Chaparrals had the ball 6 times in this first half. That's assuming they don't get it again with the 32 seconds left to play. Of those 6 possessions, 3 punts, a fumble, an interception, and the one good drive was the touchdown drive that ended in a 25-yard pass to Aaron Garza. So from Ron Schrader's point of view, you'd have to be saying, hey, we had the ball 6 times and we didn't do what we wanted 5 of those times. That's not a very good ratio. When I look at that scoreboard, we're up by 1 point, and they got 2 kids in their backfield that can go 80 yards in 14 seconds. I'm not happy.
Well, big number 74 is in there at the nose guard for the Chaps. It's Wilson Thanish playing his first game of the season. Griffin to pass, under pressure, in trouble, and dropped back at the 34-yard line. A 10-yard loss on the play. Bob Casper with his 5th sack of the season.
Well, I tell you, that was such a good collision. That might have actually, McGinnity might have turned an ankle or something in that collision. 3 Westlake defenders converging on Griffin, and when they all came together, it looked like McGinnity got his left ankle rolled, and we'll have to see if he can get up and shake that off. It looks like he's going to be okay, but it looked like Casper was the one that went into him, and Casper is not a lightweight. He's in there at 255. That's a lot of kinetic energy going into a pretty small bone.
23 seconds remaining in the half. Downstairs, back to Chuck.
Hey, Mark, you're talking about Wilson Thanish playing his first game of the year, coming off a knee injury. I think Coach Schrader doing a good job of rotating in defensive linemen. Casper, Linder, McGinnity, Dillard, a bunch of guys have played up front for the Westlake Chaps tonight, and obviously they're trying to make sure that the Bowie ground game doesn't get off the ground.
Yes, they are. 23 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Can the Dallas Cowboys improve to 500 on the season? Tune in this Sunday. Cowboys host the Panthers. Then the Browns take on the Bucks in a 3 o'clock start, and the Dolphins play the Broncos in the nightcap. An NFL tripleheader this Sunday on AM 1300 The Zone. And now 3rd and call it 14 for the Bowie Bulldogs. This is a big play in this football game. Shotgun Griffin retreats 3 more steps, throwing left into coverage. The ball is incomplete over the intended receiver, Michael Griffin, his twin brother on the coverage, Jordan Street and Landry Clark. And those two guys have made it very clear that they're not going to let the Bowie offense beat them on the deep ball.
Well, if they're going to try a field goal, if Bowie's going to try a field goal, it's going to be a 51-yard attempt. Now, I'm not sure if Robin Green has that in his leg.
Well, another timeout. We'll take it with him. 17 seconds left in the half. It's the Chaps by a point, and Westlake football continues after this. And we welcome you back to Chaparral Stadium. 17.8 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Westlake 8 and Bowie 7. And the Bulldogs will go for it on 4th and 14. Marcus Griffin has 4 wideouts to his right, 1 to his left. And he'll throw off his back foot. Throwing deep, and the ball is tipped and incomplete. There was some contact there as Jordan Street bumped into Keelan Davis. Yeah. He falls to the ground. He's looking all over the place for a flag, but he's not going to get it, at least not here at Chaparral Stadium tonight. And Westlake will take over at their own 31-yard line.
Well, I like the design of the play. It was a variant. Now we've got flags all over the place as the coaching staff for Bowie is rather upset that no call was made there. They really
and justifiably so.
Well,
after the play, unsportsmanlike, on the bench, 15 yards, succeeding spot, first down.
So now they have it all the way up near the 45. They can take a couple shots to the end zone.
Well, let's explain the design of the play. They had a diamond formation to the right, 4 receivers over to the right side, 1 man isolated to the left. All right, and you take your chances. You figure the entire defense is going to shift over. Give Westlake's defense credit. Safety stayed in position. They tried to go to the weak side. Had thought they would have one-on-one coverage and allow their athlete to make a great play. As it turns out, Keelan Davis was tripped up, whether it was inadvertent contact or whatever, which I have to believe it was because all 3 players in the area were looking up for the ball.
Okay, so Westlake has it at their own 49-yard line. Do they try to air it out for 1 or 2 plays?
You got Aaron Garza. You saw what he did earlier. Why not?
Look at that secondary. Playing 30 yards off the ball, Walker will keep on the quarterback keeper, and that's going to be the last play
he's going to
of
call
the half.
timeout.
Are they?
Yeah. He called timeout.
You're absolutely right. I beg your pardon. Kenny Perrio makes the stop.
I don't know if it was by design or if it was just instinct, but he definitely called the timeout.
Okay, so they run it up the middle, John.
Well, you made the point when you set up the play, Mark, that the safeties were 30 yards off the line of scrimmage. I mean, line of scrimmage is about midfield. Bowie has 2 safeties back at their own 15. So you figure you pop the front, you get past the front 4, and you might just ramble for about 20 yards, get in field goal position.
You know who's been quiet in this first half? Tyler Campbell.
Tyler Campbell has been, I think, 5 or 6 carries, I think, in the first half. So, I would call that quiet.
Well, a little bit more than 3 seconds left in the half, and this time Walker appears to be setting up in the shotgun with Tyler Campbell to his left. 4 wide receivers, 2 to the right of Walker and 2 to the left. And now Walker comes over to Coach Schrader and confers with him, and the play clock, John, still hasn't started. It shows 25 seconds. Well, now they finally started.
Well, remember, this is off of a timeout.
That's true.
Now, once they set the ball in play, now, I wonder what Coach Schrader said to him. Obviously, must have said something, a late adjustment here. But again, Bowie safeties at their own 20.
Well, it's a handoff up the middle, just a simple fullback draw to Matthew Scott as Sam Imbriaco brings him down. And that concludes a very wild opening half. Not a very pretty one, but a low-scoring one. And you know that's got to suit head coach Jeff Abels of Bowie. But we talked to the other head coach, Ron Schrader, who is with our own Chuck Licata. Chuck?
Coach Schrader, you're ahead on the scoreboard 8-7, but I'm guessing you're thinking it could be a little bit more.
Well, yeah, we fumbled. That's tough when you fumble. Kids are trying hard. Aaron Garza had a really great first half. Bowie just scares the daylights out of you. I don't think I've ever seen that many fast kids on one football team. And, our kids are playing hard. I'm just amazed. Michael Griffith's cardiovascular system must be something unbelievable. He needs to go in the Olympics and run some distance race. It's amazing how that kid can run. And our kids are playing hard. And, it's going to be an exciting second half.
I was going to say, outside of the one long run, your defense has done a pretty good job containing the Griffins.
Yeah, but they scared the daylights out of you, especially Michael. We're just going to have to mix things up. Bowie has an outstanding defense also. It's hard for us to establish anything on the ground because of their big, strong kids inside, so it'll definitely be an interesting second half.
Okay, Coach, good luck in the second half. All right, guys.
Chuck, thanks. 8-7 at the half. Westlake on top, but only by a point. We're back to Chaparral Stadium right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eames Independent School District is proud to present the Westlake Chaparral Marching Band. The Chaparral Band has a rich history of excellence. The band has produced
82 Texas All-State musicians, received UIL sweepstakes 30 of the past 31 years, traveled extensively throughout the United States, Canada, Europe, China, and Japan, and are a 3-time Texas State Honor Band champion. In December, the Westlake Wind Ensemble will perform at the prestigious Midwest Clinic in Chicago, Illinois. On New Year's Day, the Chaparral Band can be seen on national television as they march in the 2003 Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena, California. The Chaparral Band is under the field direction of drum majors Mark Goddard, Andy Schofield, and Tiffany Ye. Marchers of the week are Whitney Hassler and Andrew Holofield. Band officers are President Gene Wang, Vice President Alana Abernathy, Secretary Rebecca Monty, Treasurer Brian Morris, Historian Andrew Martin, Quartermaster Andrew Holofield, Representative at Large Laurie Hathaway, Librarian Katie Ferguson, and Guard Representative Mary Neiman. Tonight, the band will present their entire 2002 fall production entitled Of Grace and Strength, based on the music of classical composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, arranged by Mark Higginbotham. And now, the Westlake Chaparral Marching Band.
Marching Band. And now for the Westlake Highline.
Under the direction of Barbara Loomis and assisted by Shannon Hardy, the award-winning Highline continues with a rich tradition of excellence. Highline's board members are President Grace Lynn, Vice President Christy Lyle, Vice President Connolly Williams, Secretary Amanda Lockhart, Treasurer Stephanie Cantu, and reporter Maggie Cato.
Highline officers are Second Lieutenant Katie French, Second Lieutenant Kristen Galo, Second Lieutenant Haley Buchler, Second Lieutenant Lauren Williams, First Lieutenant Lauren Turnbull, and Captain Jennifer Riazzi.
Dancers of the week are Jessica Volman and Katie Snell. Spirit Girls are Kelly Daniel and Genevieve Fry. And tonight, the Highline performs a fun prop routine to Let's Get Crazy. Highline. The band is under the direction of Carrie Taylor, Glenn Fugit, Randall Brownlee, Chuck Fisher, and student teacher Anna Rodriguez, with assistance from Kim Stringer, Rick Rodriguez, Garrett Decker, Brian Lucas, and Sarah Hathaway. Invite you to the 26th annual Westlake Marching Festival to be held here in Chaparral Stadium tomorrow. 30 high school bands from across Texas will compete. The contest begins at 9 o'clock a.m.
Here come the Chaparrals.
19 rushes for 52 yards. Bowie had 21 for 147 yards. Passing stats, Westlake was 5 for 9 and 144 yards. Bowie was 1 for 6 and 41. Total yards in the first half, Westlake 196, Bowie 188. Rushing yards, Campbell ran 5 times for 24. Scott ran 3 times for 11, and Walker kept the ball 6 times for 9. For the Bowie Bulldogs, Michael Griffin ran 8 times for 114 yards. Marcus Griffin passed the
John,
ball
what can
1
we look
time
for?
41
Well, I think more of the same. You know, we mentioned at the top of the broadcast that the 2 times Bowie was going to have to be very careful with the first 5 minutes of the ball game, first 5 minutes of the second half. Now, I saw some late instruction. Ron Schrader took the time to come over to the bench. He grabbed his quarterback, Bill Walker, and fullback Matthew Scott, and he had his arm around each of them, and he was giving some last-minute instruction to both of them. We'll see. Bowie's going to get the ball first to open this second half, but a lot of years of being around here in the Westlake area and seeing a lot of football, and I haven't seen the fumble-rooski in a very long time. I haven't seen enough, but Ron Schrader will occasionally pull that play out of his hat when he feels like he really needs something. He needs a lift or he needs a spark. And I don't know if we're going to see that play. I haven't seen it in a very long time. But I'll be interested to see how Matthew Scott and Bill Walker perform early in the second half.
If you're just joining us, we're glad you're with us from Chaparral Stadium tonight. Start of the third quarter, Westlake 8, Bowie 7. Marv Honig up in the booth with John Medani. Chuck Licata joins us on the sidelines. And Richard Gray will kick it off for the Chaparrals to begin the third quarter from our right to our left toward the north end zone. And it goes into the end zone for a touchback, and that's where the Bowie Bulldogs will begin the second half from their own 20. And, John, that is their second best field position of the night.
Well, that's just a great kick. That's how you want to get it started. When Ron Schrader talked about the speed that Bowie possesses, how do you neutralize it? Don't let him touch it. Just a great kickoff by Gray.
The Bowie Bulldogs offense, white jerseys with black numerals, black pants, and black helmets. The offensive line from left to right, Jeff Seal, Preston Huffington, Bo Gilbo, Matt Staling, and Drew Zaromsky. The tight end, Kenny Perrio, Matt Cartier, the wide receiver. The quarterback is Marcus Griffin, who tosses it to his brother Michael running left, slips a tackle, and then is drilled after a gain of 1. And it was Michael McGinnity who threw the running back Michael Griffin to the ground. Also, we'll see Justin Grady in the backfield along with Jet Miner and Brandon Pennick. And that defense, John Medani.
The defense for the for the Westlake Chaparrals. You heard him say McGinnity. What a great play that time. Up front, Mark Maroney, Josh Root, and Bob Casper. McGinnity on the outside, Linder on the left outside. The corners are Landry Clark and Coy Awney. Safeties tonight, Hunter Coleman and Jordan Street.
And a handoff, this time on the end around to Brandon Clark, who's still on his feet after a gain of 10. 15, uses the stiff arm. He's got 18 yards up to the 38-yard line. Coy Awney knocked him out of bounds. I beg your pardon, we're going to call it a gain of 17, 1 yard shy. Coy Awney making the tackle, but a little chicanery there to begin this thing as Brandon Clark got her on the end around and came around the right side.
Well, not only is the speed effective for Bowie, these guys all have pretty good size, too. When you talk about Marcus Griffin, Michael Griffin, and Brandon Clark, you're talking about 6 feet, 6'1", and 6'2".
They're tall. This time Clark wing left. Handoff Griffin. Gets a great block, cuts it outside. Great move. Now stopped in his tracks. That's one of those times when he should have just lowered his shoulder and picked up 3 or 4 yards. Instead, he did a little bit too much. 71-290 when he needed to do a little bit of I-35 on that one, John.
Well, Hunter Coleman came up and did a nice job of taking on the lead block from right guard Matt Staley, who had pulled to go down the line. The Hunter took an inside technique, forced Coleman to bounce it to the outside, and he flushed him right into the waiting arms of Michael McGinnity, who we saw has always been a sure tackler, and he certainly has been tonight as well. McGinnity, one of the few guys that can take Griffin down one-on-one.
Second down, 8 yards to go for the Bowie Bulldogs. Football on the left hash mark at their own 40. It's a toss right. Michael Griffin looking to throw, heaves it down the right sideline, and it is picked off and then dropped. Coy Awney had it in his mitts but couldn't hold on, and you could tell that that play was coming all night long. They've been doing this toss, and Michael Griffin runs so slowly initially to set up the holes and to follow his blockers, and he's always looking downfield, and you knew he was going to throw it at one point tonight.
I love the call. We talked about it in the open. Dare to win the ball game. Do some things a little out of the ordinary. I like the call. For Westlake, it looked like it could have been an interception. They obviously weren't fooled. Very well schooled. They were, taught to stay with your man. Forget about that, but you got to like the call.
1 of 5 on third downs tonight. This time Marcus Griffin in the shotgun. He'll retreat back to his own 30-yard line, rolling out right, pressure coming, being chased, and just heaves it out of bounds. A heady play by the senior as Mark Maroney was draped on him like an old coat.
Maroney was bearing down on him. I don't know what Maroney's 40 time is. I bet you that Marcus Griffin can tell you. Because Griffin, I'm sure, knows what his 40 time is, and Maroney gained on him pretty substantially there.
So the Bowie Bulldogs started at their own 20. They've taken it out to the 40, and now they're going to be forced to punt to the Chaps, who will get it for the first time here in the second half. Hunter Coleman back at the far hash mark, and Jordan Street on the near hash mark. And Harnden awaits the snap from his own 25-yard line. Not a lot of pressure coming, and Harnden gets off a shallow punt taken by Hunter Coleman up to the 40-yard line. Just 3 seconds of hang time. It was more of a line drive kick. A 27-yard punt and a 6-yard return for Hunter Coleman. And the Chaps take over at their own 40-yard line, and they will move toward the north end zone from our right to our left. Just a gorgeous night for football here at Chaparral Stadium. We're in the press box on the west side, so we have a nice view of downtown Austin, lit up, a clear sky. And now Bill Walker under center for the Westlake offense. From their own 40-yard line, 60 yards for a touchdown here. Handoff up the middle to Matthew Scott, and you got to like that by Coach Schrader. Despite the fumble in the first half, he goes back to Scott, maybe trying to build his confidence a little bit on the tackle, Kenny Perio.
Well, no question about it. And again, as I mentioned, I saw Coach Schrader pull aside Walker and Scott just before they came back onto the field. And you might say, well, what are they telling them? They were just in the locker room. Well, maybe he had a little personal advice for each man. Talked about them, talked about their confidence. So you guys are seniors. I want to see what you're doing here. We've got the last couple of possessions. We've got a fumble that we have to account for, an interception. We want to get our heads on straight, and let's execute.
Strong side is the left side as Walker turns, hands the ball off to Campbell. His first carry of the second half, and it goes for about 4. He started at left guard, angled back to the right, and found Brandon Wright, keyed in on him, and he drops him after the 4-yard pickup. So third down, call it 3.5, maybe 4 yards coming up for the Chaps. They need to get to midfield to pick up a first down. We have 8:56 left to play in the third. And Westlake leading Bowie 8-7 in a low-scoring affair here at Chaparral Stadium. 1 of 4 tonight on third downs. And Walker under center. Toss left for Campbell. Cuts inside a block and then tripped up. Nice defensive play by the Bowie Bulldogs as Brandon Wright just tripped him up and knocked Campbell to the ground, and that prevented the first down. It's 4th and 2, and the Chaps will be forced to punt from their own 48.
It's getting a little chippy now at the line of scrimmage. There's some wolfing going on, a little pushing and shoving after the play. I think that Bowie wants to make sure that they realize they're being respected here on this field. They understand it's Westlake, but they came here to win, and I think Westlake certainly recognizes that Bowie's here.
Well, Bowie may have jumped off sides, and Gray gets his foot into it, and it's taken by Clark at the 15. Nowhere to go. He'll be dropped right there, and they may have to kick it again. Or actually, Westlake may get a first down because it looked like the right member of that punt return team jumped off sides. While we have a moment, let's go back to the studio and check in with Sam Waller. All right, Sam, thank you very much. 7:57 left to play in the third quarter.
1-0 who? I missed that.
Who's playing, the Mets?
No, it's no, the Twins and the A's. I didn't catch who was up.
Offside.
Angels.
On the defense,
Yeah.
5 yards, previous spot, first down by yardage.
You'll recall in an earlier update that Sam Wallach said that the Angels were on top 1-0.
Minus scrimmage is
Great
now the
pitching
Bowie
duel.
47.
We've got a low-scoring game ourselves.
We have an American League Baseball score right now at 8-7.
We do. First down for Westlake. That was a big, big play again by a Bowie mental mistake.
Absolutely. Here's Walker, fakes the first man, hands to the second guy, and big room for Brian Bailey, runs over a defender and dragged down from behind at the 24-yard line. Flag down on the play. If it stands, it will be a 27-yard gain as Ben Elisaris got him by the jersey and pulls down Brian Bailey, the sophomore. Coming into this one, just 10 carries for 97 yards. But he did have 4 touchdowns on 11 touches, John. A pretty good ratio there.
Well, extremely good. And again, the luxury of depth, something that right now Coach Abels cannot match. If you feel like you're a little bit lethargic on offense, maybe, Scott's not quite running it up in there the way you want to. Well, how about
Incidental face mask. Defense 5 yards into the run, first down.
That's our referee, Howard Seitzman. He's joined tonight by Robert Creasy, Brian Burkhart, David Havelka, and Thomas Stevens. Penalties tonight for Bowie now, 6 of them for 45 yards. And the Chaps in business at the Bowie 20-yard line. Wide side of the field is the right side. It's a handoff to Campbell. Cuts behind a block. Big room at the 10, the 5, and he is into the end zone for a Westlake touchdown. Tyler Campbell scampers in from 19 yards, made a great cut at first, and then it was clear sailing to the end zone, and the Chaps are up 14-7.
Well, you have to appreciate the ability of Tyler Campbell. Again, that's only, I believe, his 7th carry of the night. Maybe 8th, but I mean, it's been very, he's got 50 yards now on 8 carries. He had 5 at the half, so that means 3 carries for 25 yards here in this half. I don't think it's any mistake that they go back to him more and more.
Well, Richard Gray, that's got to be a confidence builder as he knocks through the extra point. There is a flag down on the field, and while we have a moment, let's go downstairs to Chuck Licata. Chuck.
Guys, great block by Gino Troy, and a tight end Joey Thomas up the middle of Free Campbell for that touchdown run.
And John?
We're at offside. Defense declined. Extra point is good.
Well, the biggest play on that drive had to have been the offside penalty on the punt, and we'll talk about that more on the other side. 7:37 left to play in the third. It's the Chaps 15 and the Bulldogs 7.
Hi, this is...
Brandon Clark and Griffin deep for Bulldogs. Richard Gray teed up for the Chaparrals.
.37 to play in the third quarter. Westlake extends its lead now to 15-7 over the Bowie Bulldogs, and they prepare to kick off. Here's Marco.
And Richard Gray, the barefooted kicker. Another perfect kick over the head of Brandon Clark and out of bounds, and a touchback for the Bowie Bulldogs. Let's go back to that last drive, John. And the Bulldog defense had held the Chaps. They held them and forced a 4th and 2 from the 48-yard line. The Chaps had to punt. Bowie jumps offside. That keeps the drive alive, and a couple plays later, pay dirt for Tyler Campbell.
Mark, we talked about dodging a bullet the first 5 minutes of each half. Well, they had dodged a bullet, but then the offsides on the punt formation gave Westlake new life. They went ahead and took it into the end zone.
Here's Marcus Griffin, hands the ball off to Jet Minor on the fullback dive. He plunges forward for 4 up to the 24-yard line. And now it is 2nd and 6 coming up for the Bowie Bulldog offense. Michael Griffin had moderate success in the first half. He didn't have that much success if you scratch the 80-yarder off the books, but I'm sure that Mrs. Griffin will not allow that to happen if she's in attendance tonight. He went 80 yards. And on the night, if you scratch out that 80-yard run, he's got 10 carries for 39 yards. Now it's 2nd and 6. His brother Marcus fakes the handoff, throws, and the ball is nearly intercepted by Koyani. And that's the second one tonight that Coy could have picked off, but that was just a heady defensive play to step in front of the wide receiver, Matt Cartier, who's been absolutely silent tonight, and Coy knocked it down.
Yeah. Well,
so the numbers on Marcus Griffin, John, bear with me for a second. He's just 1 of 8 for 40 yards.
Well, Bowie's not a throwing team. I mean, they have looked pretty good tonight when they try to throw it. That play just took entirely too long to develop, and you have to give Koyani credit for reading that play and stepping in front and breaking it up.
3rd down, 6 yards to go. They need their own 30, Bowie that is, to pick up a first down. The Bulldogs trail it 15-7. Handoff up the middle. It's Marcus Griffin. Make that Michael Griffin. He's got 1 where he needed 6. And Yogi Yokubaitis, number 2 on this team in tackles, brings him down. And it's 4th and about 4 coming up for the Bowie Bulldogs. They're going to be forced to punt. And this is a critical stage in this football game right now, John, with the Chaps on top by 8, 6:26 left to play in the 3rd, and Westlake's going to get it with a short field. Downstairs, Chuck Licata.
One thing I did notice is that Coach Abels religiously substituted for Michael Griffin every other play. So far this second half, he has been in every single offensive play, so obviously going for the throat here.
Well, they fake the fake punt, and they actually get it away as a very slow-developing punt, and Hunter Coleman has it for no return at the 41-yard line. The up man stuck his hands up in the air as if he was trying to catch the snap and run with it, even though that wasn't designed, maybe to slow the rush for a second, and Herndon took about 4 steps and finally got that thing off.
The one thing that Bowie cannot afford to have happen is to get 2 touchdowns behind Westlake. They don't have the kind of offense that can recover from that kind of deficit. They need to keep this within striking distance, meaning within a touchdown. So they really can't afford to let Westlake drive down the field here.
The Chaps start from their own 41-yard line. They'll move it toward the north end zone as Campbell runs into a wall. Second effort gets him a yard. His third effort gets him a 2nd yard, and he picks up 2 on the play. 5:52 left to play in the 3rd. The Chaps on top 15-7 as Casey Hipp, the backup weak side linebacker, comes in to make 1 of 3 hits on Tyler Campbell, who took some punishment on that last run. We'll actually give him 3 and call it 2nd down and 7. And the wide side of the field will be the right side. And John, you called for it at halftime. You said Tyler Campbell needed to get more carries. Coach Schrader apparently listening to our halftime show, and he has acted accordingly.
No, but the weapon that you have with Tyler Campbell, I mean, I just thought 5 carries in a half of football just wasn't quite enough, especially with a guy that talented.
Play action, Walker throwing deep. The receiver, Aaron Garza, fell down. Good coverage on the play. And in fairness to the Chaparral fans listening on AM 1300 The Zone in the studio, that's the same exact play that we saw the other direction when Keelan Davis got knocked down close to the end zone, and the officials did not call it pass interference. So if you're not going to call it one way, you can't call it the other way. Marcus Griffin was there, some incidental contact, and the ball falls harmlessly to the ground. 3rd down, 7 coming up for the Westlake Chaparrals. And Walker will not be in the shotgun. He'll come straight under his center, Justin Bowles. Matthew Scott behind him. Walker rolls out to his left, and the pass is broken up very nicely by Marcus Griffin. What a great play defensively by the Bowie Bulldogs. 5:05 left to play in the 3rd. It's the Chaps by 8. Let's go back to the studio and Sam Waller.
Deep to receive is Michael Griffin and Brandon Clark. Back to punt. Richard Gray.
Sam, thanks a lot. Richard Gray will punt as he awaits the snap at his own 30. It's low, but no pressure, so he has time to field and gets off without question his best punt of the night. Fair catch called for and made at the 18-yard line. 3.8 seconds of hang time, and Brandon Clark called it in.
I got to tell you, and maybe I'm way off here. I don't know. Westlake doesn't punt that often. I think Bowie was going to do a reverse on that punt return. There's no other explanation for why Brandon Clark would come up and receive the ball, and Michael Griffin would stay 5 yards behind him. and to his left. If the guy you're back there with, if you're not catching the ball, you get up there and block somebody so your man can run. There's no reason for him. We should watch for that later in the game.
Or maybe they're trying to put something in the mind of the Chaps so they can fake it.
Well, they put it in my
Well, this time an end around to Brandon Clark going toward the far sideline, and he's dropped for a 2-yard loss. And the flag came in from the back judge. What an arm by the back judge, David Havelka. And if he has any eligibility left, you know Coach Schrader could make him the 4th starter at quarterback for the Chaparrals this season.
That's the most prodigious flag toss we've seen.
And that is the 3rd prodigious reference tonight. A loss of 2 on the play. I beg your pardon, a loss of 4. If it stands, let's see.
Well, whatever he saw, it was obvious because he did not hesitate.
Well, they did wave off the flag.
Well, he ran in from 20 yards out. Obviously, he was pretty convinced on something.
Maybe the flag just got away from him. I don't know. It's a loss of 1. And so now 2nd down and 11.
Unbelievable.
And 4:27 left to play here in this 3rd quarter. 15-7 our score. Chaps on top of Bowie. Tight set. A lot of movement inside. It's to Brandon Clark, who is going to pass on the halfback option. And this time, Koyani's got it at the 35, and he'll step out of bounds at the 25 of Bowie. The 3rd time tonight that football has hit Koyani's hands, and this time he pulls it in for the interception, his 3rd of the season.
Well, I like the trickeration. All right, I do. I like that you're going to have to come in here and you're going to have to, throw out the playbook and try a lot of different things, but you got to execute. I mean, and that was a lob. I mean, Brandon Clark had no chance at all to complete that pass.
No, and Koyani did a nice job staying with it.
Did a terrific job.
And he advanced it for 8 yards. So Walker comes in with a short field, fakes the handoff to Campbell, and gives it to Brian Bailey, who takes on a defender, and the 2 of them go flying out of bounds on the near sideline. And guess who it was? It was Michael Griffin on the stop. And good sportsmanship there after the play, John.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw it. Michael Griffin came up and smacked Brian Bailey on the backside as if to say, nice run. And it's all in good fun here, but make sure you don't pick up more than 2 yards on the play.
For those of you that may happen to be in the stands right now and may happen to be Longhorn fans, you should know as you watch this game unfold that Michael Griffin is a verbal commitment to the University of Texas. And at this point, he could play offense or defense.
Yes, he could. Handoff up the middle. Tyler Campbell hurdles a man and is down to the 13-yard line, brought down by Ben Elisaris, but not before Campbell picks up 11 and moves the sticks.
Now, while we're heaping praise on Tyler Campbell, which he is rightfully deserving, we have to say something about the offensive line. That is the 3rd consecutive run for Tyler Campbell where, I mean, Mark, you could run through that hole.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying they're doing an amazing job up front. Those guys up front are really creating a nice seam for Tyler to run through. He's not making any contact until he's 6 yards down the line.
1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. Campbell again with positive yardage. Give him 4 as he hurdles over the 10-yard line down to the 9. And Derek Prillup, the 5'11", 250-pound junior on the stop. But as you look at that Bowie Bulldogs defense right now, John, you can see they all have their hands on their hips. Well, they're visibly winded, and the Chaps are running downhill on them.
This is what you get when you have guys that play both ways. And when you're trying to stop a team that is running the ball, running at you, it takes more of a toll on you. It's a more physical contest. And, playing both ways is difficult anyway, but this is where it really gets tough.
4 wide receivers. The Chaps spread the field and run it up the gut with Matthew Scott down to the 5, about a yard or 2 short of picking up a 1st down. Juan Lopez on the stop. And 1 more yard, and Matthew Scott would have had the 1st down, but it's 3rd and about a yard and a half to go now for the Chaparrals. 2:04 left to play in the 3rd. Westlake 15 and Bowie 7.
But again, the substitutions that Ron Schrader's able to, let's see, now Brian Bailey, that's a sophomore, he and Tony Gulliver checking into the ball game. You can really keep guys fresh.
Double receivers left, tight end also on the left. It's a handoff to Campbell, hits it right guard, driving his legs forward down to the 2. He's got a 1st down, and it's going to be 1st and goal for the Westlake Chaparrals. Back to the studio in Sam Waller.
Number 55 on the stop. Official timeout for measurement. It programs out.
Sam, thanks.
We've got a $100 gift certificate.
90 seconds remaining here in this third quarter. They're going to mark it. And while we have a moment, let's go down to the guy with the bird's eye view, Chuck Licata.
Guys, I was going to point out that Justin Grady, who left the game midway through the first quarter, will not return for the Bowie Bulldogs. He's one of 5 guys that starts both ways, offense and defense. He's a cornerback on defense, and they're obviously missing his presence. And that first down made by the half of the football.
Chuck, thanks. It looked like the initial spot was not favoring Westlake. But here come the Chaps. First and goal. The wide side of the field is the right side. Garza split out to the left. Now Gullah in motion to the left. Jagged eye formation. Handoff to Campbell. Following his blockers. Second effort gets him close to the goal line. And no signal yet. He stopped at the 1. He did a great job of following the blocking of Carl Olson. He just grabbed him by the shirt and tried to push him in front of him to get another block, but it stops at the 1, and now the Chaps will have second and goal from the 1 yard line.
That was a great football play. Just great effort. The linemen keep blocking. Campbell turns his back to the goal line, keeps trying to push, tries to back his way in. White shirts and black helmets saying, no, you're not getting in here. Just terrific football.
On what could be the last play of the third quarter, Bill Walker sends Gullah in motion to his left and takes it in from 1 yard out. Just a quarterback keeper straight over the plane of the goal line, and Westlake has opened this thing up late in the third quarter.
But now what do you see? You see from Westlake, yeah, they pounded it in. Yeah, they know what kind of team Bowie has. Yeah, they know that they might be opening up a lead now that may not come back. But I got to tell you, the Westlake offense, as soon as they pushed it in and got it into the end zone, a couple of linemen for Westlake that time, Gino Troy, Matt Crozier, both helping up. Marcus, sorry, go ahead.
Well, all I was going to say is the extra point was good. You can continue.
Well, I was going to say, helping up quarterback Marcus Scriven, who also plays defensive back. You can tell that Bowie, now that they trail 22-7, has definitely got the attention and/or the respect of the Westlake Chaparrals. It's not the victory they're going to want tonight, but it was certainly a small measure of what they wanted to do coming in here.
Well, there's still 1 full quarter to play.
Absolutely. No, the game, we saw 80 yards in 14 seconds from Michael Griffin, and I'm sure that Coach Rader's not going to let his ball club relax under any circumstances, but we also have to face the reality of what kind of a team Bowie is. Now, in the third quarter, we saw what happened when they tried to throw the ball for a living, and it wasn't very good.
And also, I don't know if you saw on that touchdown run, Walker had a little trouble on the exchange. It looked like he bobbled a little bit, and it may have been an intended handoff that he just kept from 1 yard and took it across because he bobbled it for a second.
One of the things that's gone unnoticed, because I know that we haven't mentioned it, but I think it certainly deserves to be mentioned, is the kickoffs so far. I mean,
superb.
Gray's kickoffs have been terrific. He's had 2 in the second half. Both of them went out of the corner of the end zone, just barely trickled over the goal line, beyond the pylon and out, and they really haven't given Bowie an opportunity to utilize their speed on kick returns. They've started from the 20.
Well, Gray will kick it off again. It's amazing. He's got that leg on these kickoffs, but the extra points and the field goals this season have been such an adventure. The kickoff, again, very deep. It will be taken out by Clark, 5 yards deep in the end zone, up to the 10, the 15, and drilled at the 18-yard line. What a shot did he take from Mark Maroney, and just 20 seconds remaining here in this third quarter.
Yeah. Well, that's just the second opportunity that Bowie has had tonight to return a kickoff. Gray has done the kind of job that you would ask from your kicker. Just don't give the team with all the speed the opportunity to make a big play returning a kick.
Well, and it's not an ideal opportunity to pull it out because he brought it out 5 yards deep. Had he taken a knee, he would have picked up an extra yard because the ball's at the 19. But, yes, he gives his team a chance. Wide side of the field is the left side. And now, out of the shotgun, the Bowie Bulldogs, Marcus Griffin hands the ball off to his brother Michael, who lost the football, and the Chaparrals have picked it up. The floodgates are open here at Chaparral Stadium, and Westlake is very close to putting the Bulldogs away. Michael Griffin has not gotten a lot of carries tonight, and maybe he was just trying to make something very large happen out of a play that didn't look like nothing was there.
Well, a very forgettable third quarter for the Bowie Bulldogs, and their head coach Jeff Abels will look back at this. They may not even look at this tape. We're talking 4 possessions: punt, interception, fumble. And I really don't think that that's what they want.
And on the first possession of the half, it could have been another interception on a tailback option. Here's Walker, fakes the handoff to Slut and gives it to Campbell. And Campbell picks up 5 around the left side down to the 18. That's the last play of the third quarter. At the half, it was Westlake 8-7 over Bowie. And now, just 12 minutes later, our score is Westlake 22 and the Bowie Bulldogs 7. And you're listening to Westlake football on AM 1300 The Zone.
Chaparrals on Saturday continue. Travis Thompson is going to play for White when they take on Navy. Brendan Dewan will be looking at Duke, helping out against Navy. And it's San Diego State. Adam Hall. Now Adam Hall is still racking up all sorts of records for total offense. He's passed for over 1,800 yards and 10 touchdowns. 360 yards per game average. But you know how football is. San Diego State still hadn't won a game.
Start of the fourth quarter here at Chaparral Stadium. Westlake now in control. They lead the ball game and the Bowie Bulldogs 22-7. Westlake with the ball. They are in Bowie Bulldog territory. They have a second down and about 4 from the Bowie 17-yard line, 18-yard line.
After the change of possession, Westlake marches toward the south end zone. Bill Walker under center, tight end on the right, to toss right to Campbell with room at the 15, the 10. Great cutback at the 5, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown, but hold everything. There is a flag back at the 17-yard line.
I disagree with the call.
What was it, holding?
Yeah, the block, I don't know if it was holding, you might, okay.
It's in the area of holding, so we'll wait and see.
Our statistician, what's your name again?
Thomas Lee.
Our statistician, Thomas Lee, feels certain that it was an absolute hold. They're going to get that holding call. Yeah, I know what a hold is. They're going to get that holding call on Brian Bailey, which is going to call the touchdown back. And Westlake's going to have to do this again. Mark, as you pointed out earlier, it is a spot foul. So it's going to be rather costly for the Chaparral.
11:53 left to go on a gorgeous night for football here at Chaparral Stadium. 22-7. And here is our referee.
Holding, offense, replay second down.
Howard Seitzman. He's been busy tonight, John.
You know what I'm amazed at, Mark, are the substitutions that Coach Schrader continues to run into the ballgame. We now see Tony Gullah back into the ballgame.
Jim Slutz.
Jim Slutz back into the ballgame. Just the opportunity, they're going to have to call a timeout because that would be a penalty.
Yeah, as Brian Bailey was late getting onto the field. Late getting off the field. Slutz came in for him. Yeah. And you said it was a timeout, and they called the timeout about 2 steps before Bailey was able to get to the sidelines, or else we would have seen what we saw in the first half, which is the illegal substitution on the Bowie Bulldogs.
And again, we should point out, a lot of sophomores contributing right now for what, I guess if you haven't been on the field and in the ball game and in the heat of the battle, they don't call out names necessarily. What they do is that you have different, I don't know what Westlake's terminology is, but you have different teams that are in yell red or blue or A or B or, giant, depending on your defensive alignment. And it's just your responsibility to know that that's you. You're one of the 11 guys on that formation. I want to remind you that Bucky and Aaron will start your Texas OU coverage tomorrow morning, 11:30 sharp, right here on AM 1300 The Zone. They are followed by Major Applewhite and Kevin Dunn. Then Craig Way, Keith Moreland, and Brian Jones call the action. 3 hours of pregame coverage from the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, right here on the Longhorn Station, AM 1300 The Zone. I know that I talked to guys up at ESPN yesterday. They're very excited to have Major out. They're going to have Major on their set tomorrow, the game day guys.
Game day
have him up there, yeah.
College
have him
game
on the
day.
set. Kirk Herbstreit, a very big fan of Major Applewhite's. Said he was one of the best college quarterbacks he'd ever seen, next to him, of course.
Well, and Major Applewhite can be heard weekdays at 2 o'clock right here on the Zone.
Absolutely.
Out of the shotgun, second down, 14 yards to go for the Chaps, and Walker lost his footing momentarily and throws it out of bounds to avoid the sack. It looked like his cleat just got caught in that turf, and the pressure was coming up the middle from Brandon Wright and Kenny Perio, and Walker did a nice job just throwing it away.
Smart play. What is that? What Major Applewhite's mantra we hear him say all the time? Throw the ball away, live for another play. There's nothing wrong with throwing it away.
Unless it's on fourth down.
Well, that's I should bring that up next time he says something stupid like that. But no, it's a good point. If you're in trouble, don't try to be a superstar. Don't be a hero. 10 other guys on the field wearing your jersey color. Just throw it away.
3rd and 14 for the Chaps at the Bulldogs' 26-yard line. Double receivers right and a tight end that direction. And now Bailey goes in motion that way. Handoff to Campbell on the draw, and that play never got going. It goes for no gain. As the tackle made by Michael Griffin, who's been all over the field tonight. And you got to be impressed with the stamina of those two guys.
I'm impressed with the stamina of the whole team. I mean, they got guys playing both ways, and Westlake is substituting freely. This is going to be a pretty good check here. This is going to be a 44-yard field goal try.
I don't know if they're going to spot it as a 43-yarder or a 44-yarder. I don't know what the officials
It's a
call
good
it.
poke either way.
Either way, out of the hold of Dane Minute. The deep snapper is Austin Meyer, and here's the field goal attempt, and it is good! It hit the crossbar, and it bounced over. It would not have been good from 45.
Go buy a lottery ticket tonight, son.
The Chaps add 3 points, and with 11:03 remaining in the game, it's now Westlake 25 and Bowie 7. Let's go downstairs and check in with Chuck Licata. Chuck?
Guys, I guess sometimes better lucky than good. And he got a good snap on it. The hold was down there. And the ball looked like maybe had a little bit of a backspin, but fortunately bounced over once it hit the bar.
Well, there's obviously no way to speak on
We got Drew Brees,
two flags that you see here. It's completely still. So whatever he got out of that is, and very nice job. 44-yard field goal was definitely a good shot. Now they say 43, that's fine.
You want to make it 43 or 44?
I'm going to give him 44. That's a good shot.
There. And one thing that maybe Chuck Licata can check into is the holder in previous weeks was Mark Flood, but they've gone to Dane Minnick tonight. And I'd be anxious to find out if that's something that they've been working on in practice, or if Flood maybe has a hurt finger.
Well, you never know. One of the things that I found interesting that you pointed out before was when I referred to whether Bowie was going to maybe try a reverse or not on a kick return or a punt return, you said, well, maybe they're just trying to give the other team a different look, something to think about. Well, if your scouts look at Westlake and you look at all the game film and you see a certain number holding, and then all of a sudden you get into your game and it's a different guy holding, you're yelling fake to your guys. Just give them something to think about. And if everybody's concerned about a fake, then pass rush, or the rush rather, on the kicker is not going to be as strong.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that Gray has kicked off from our left to our right toward the south end zone. Most of the other kicks have been the other direction.
He's had a really good night tonight, all aspects of his game.
Well, bounces at the 1, and Michael Griffin will take it out from the end zone, and he's got a huge hole up the middle. Cuts back left at the 25, the 30, up to the 40. One man to beat, it's the kicker, and he's brought down by Richard Gray at the 41-yard line. You give that kid just a little bit of daylight, and he's going to make it count. 63 yards on the return, getting Bowie some pretty good field position.
Well, and I have to say, the superlative night for Richard Gray continues, because now he's prevented a touchdown. That is unbelievable. There's no adjectives. I mean, there's no reason to bring that. He's 8 yards deep, and all of a sudden he's at the Westlake 40.
You got the sense that he felt like, you know what, I haven't had that many cracks, I'm going to give it a shot. Pennick trying to go wide, strung out nicely by the Chaps' Hunter Coleman, who missed 2 straight games with mononucleosis, comes up to make the play, and prevents any type of gain for the Bowie offense.
Now here's Coach Abels having to use some of his sophomores. I say having to as if Pinnock's not worthy. But certainly don't know that, but Brandon Pinnock is not the guy you would have in there at this point in the game. You would certainly want your starting tailback in there, but Michael Griffin's a bit winded. You'll excuse him if he's not in there for every play.
From the Westlake 42-yard line, Marcus Griffin drops back, fakes the handoff. He's going to pass all day to throw. Pump fake down the center of the field, and the ball is incomplete. Great coverage on the play, and it was intended for Kenny Perrio. While we have a moment, 10:01 left to play here in this game. The Chaps on top, 25-7. Let's find out about the other games and Sam Waller.
Incomplete. Coy Oni defending on the play. Third and 10.
Sam, thank you very much. 2 minutes gone by here in the fourth quarter, and it's been all Westlake in the second half. Building on an 8-7 halftime lead. Marcus Griffin on the quarterback draw, wrapped up, somehow escapes and manages to get 5, maybe 6 yards down to the 37, and he was in jail at the line of scrimmage. Got the get out of jail free card and picks up 5. Yogi Yokubaitis on the stop.
This is the first time all night that Bowie has had the luxury of starting a drive in Westlake territory.
Yep.
And we're talking about...
It's the first time outside their own 22.
Yeah, we're talking about 11 possessions. They really have to cash in here somehow. They got to come away with a touchdown if at all possible.
Well, it's 4th down and 5.5 to go, and they call a timeout. We'll take it with them. 9:28 remaining in the contest. The Chaps in front, but the Bulldogs on the move. And we're back to Chaparral Stadium right after this.
The Westlake boys basketball program is having a fundraiser next Monday, the 14th, sponsored by varsity and JV boys for 3rd through 8th grade students. It'll be from 9 a.m. until 12:30 in Westlake High School main gym. The cost is $45 for the clinic. Includes a t-shirt and a picture. For more information, contact Westlake High School.
Here we go, a big 4th and 5.5 for the Bowie Bulldogs. 2.5 minutes into the fourth quarter. Pass out left, it's caught for a first down. Bowie inside the 25, out of bounds at the 22-yard line, and the first reception of the night for Keelan Davis. Just the second completion of the night for Marcus Griffin, if I'm not mistaken. This one will go as a gain of 17, and the numbers on Marcus Griffin so far in this one, he is 2 of 10 for 57 yards on the night.
Well, that certainly was not executed like a team that doesn't throw the ball. He had short, middle, and deep, went middle and completed it. That was a nice looking play.
Chaps will rush 3 on 1st and 10. Marcus Griffin waggles right. Gets a great block. Pressure coming from behind by McGinnity, and he throws it away. Another heady move by Marcus Griffin.
Yep, good. Both quarterbacks, very smart football tonight. Trying not to do it on their own. They know they've got a lot of help out there on the field. If the play doesn't work like you drew it up, just throw it away and huddle up.
9:13 left to play in the fourth. The Chaps 25, the Bulldogs 7. Mark Honig, John Medani, and Chuck Licata from Chaparral Stadium, as Westlake was at House Park last Thursday. And John, an extra day of preparation, playing that Thursday game last week, and an opportunity for some of these kids to get a little healthy.
Yeah, and that's certainly something. Obviously, it did help in Hunter Coleman's case. He was able to come back and start tonight. He hasn't been able to do that in quite a few weeks.
Trips right, 1 left. Marcus Griffin, pump fake right, now throwing left. And the ball is up for grabs. It is bobbled and then incomplete as the ball went out of bounds. I think the ball was hauled in momentarily, but then dropped, and it was intended for Brandon Clark, but great coverage on the play by Yokovitis and Landry Clark.
Absolutely. You have to wonder, I mean, Westlake is so well schooled defensively. Nobody's single covered. I mean, it seems like no matter where Griffin throws the ball, there are 2 red shirts or 3. I mean, he just cannot buy single coverage anywhere, no matter how they disguise their formation.
3rd and 10. Line of scrimmage is the Westlake 21. On 3rd down conversions, just 1 of 8 tonight. Marcus Griffin in the shotgun, and he will keep it on the option. Hurdles a man. He's down to the 15, short of a first down. It's going to be 4th and 4 coming up for the Bowie Bulldogs as he picks up 6. And now decision time for Jeff Abels. Do you kick the field goal, put 3 on the board, and make it a 2-score game, or do you try to get the touchdown, John?
I don't think you have enough time to settle for a field goal. I think you have to get a touchdown here, and quite honestly,
well, you need 3 scores either way, John.
Yeah, well, I think this one has to be the touchdown. We pointed out before they had the luxury of starting this possession in Westlake territory when they have barely been outside of the shadow of their own goalposts all night.
Jet Minor late getting off the field. The Chaps are into it on the near sideline. Out of the shotgun, Marcus Griffin looking right all the way. Pressure coming up the middle. Throws across, incomplete. And a turnover on downs. Intended for Brandon Clark, who was trying to run a crossing pattern in the end zone. But John, as you mentioned so astutely a moment ago, double coverage on every receiver.
There's nobody open. And, you have to give Westlake credit. In order to have that kind of coverage in the secondary, you have to be getting a push from your guys up front without utilizing blitzes. And they're getting it done. I mean, they're pressuring Marcus Griffin enough that he's got to unload the football. There's just nobody open back there.
So a 63-yard kickoff return goes for naught as they turn it over on downs. Here's the Chaps. Pump fake. Walker running left with blockers in front of him. And he loses the football. It pops up in the air and a pile up, and I think the Chaps have fallen on it back at the 14-yard line. The hit by Michael Griffin. And Michael Griffin is playing the duration of the game, John. I don't think he's taking a break.
ID. Well, what's amazing to me, they ran one play in that sequence, Bowie did, where they spread the field. They went 4 wide. They had a 5-man front. They had Marcus Griffin in shotgun formation and Michael Griffin flanked to his right, and they ran an option. Now, if that doesn't make a defensive coach pause and gasp for breath, it's like, good Lord, they've got to spread out. And I don't know who's going to carry it. Whether he keeps it or pitches it, we got a problem.
They actually picked up 4.
On the fumble?
Aaron Garza, Aaron Garza ends up falling on it.
Well, that was a good lick. That was just hat on ball, and that ball gave up.
Walker to Campbell at left guard. He's got maybe 3 yards, 3rd and short coming up. 7:16 left to play in the game. Clock on the move, and we'll pause for station identification.
On the stop, Juan Lopez, number 63. It's programmed out.
Clock continues to move. Now 6:56, 6:55, 6:54 left to go. The Chaparrals 25, the Bowie Bulldogs 7. And it's looking right now like the Bulldogs may be saddled with their first loss of the season. 3rd and short for Westlake. Toss right, it's Campbell with blockers in front of him. Cuts back against the grain, has the first down. Up to the 33-yard line as he gains 4 on the play. Needed 2. Gains 4. Jerron Poole stops him. But not before Tyler Campbell moves the sticks. And he's one of those guys. You hear it all the time. As the game progresses, he gets more comfortable with the flow of the game and gets better.
Now we have Jason Furman checking into the ball game for the Westlake Chaparrals. First time I think that we've seen him tonight.
Twins left. Back split behind Walker, and the give is to Brian Bailey. He picks up 3 at right guard across the 30 to the 31, and we go back to zone headquarters from Sam Walker.
And he's got 3 yards on the play. Brings up a 2nd down and 7. Still looking for program number 977. Come on up.
Sam, thanks. 2nd down. Call it 7 yards to go. The wide side of the field's the left side. Chaps in their own end of the field. Tossed left to Campbell. Gets a great block from Bailey and then knocked off his feet. You heard John say, oof, because I think as opposed to your usual tremendous commentary and the arsenal of words like wow. When you went with oomph, did that mean that he got knocked off his feet and hit up high?
No, I meant the stat guy just rolled over my foot.
Jet Minor applied the stick, and it's 3rd and 3 coming up. What a game. That, 45, 42?
Well, I'm amazed
Congratulations to Drew.
that we've got guys playing both ways. You know, if they can avoid injury, I think you got to assume that Bowie and Westlake both are going to be 2 of the 3 playoff teams that emerge from this district.
On 3rd and 3, Campbell runs over a defender and picks up the first down up to the 44-yard line. Ben Elisaris went for a ride and a gain of 9. So Campbell on the night, 20 carries and now 100 yards. Goes over the century mark. Don't forget about that touchdown also. And was there a flag on the play? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's flag on the play.
4:59 left to play here, 25-7. Westlake with the lead in the ball. In the first half, first quarter it was scoreless, and then less than a minute into the second quarter, Bill Walker hooked up with Aaron Garza on a 25-yard touchdown strike. The extra point was no good. The Chaps led it 6-zip, and Bowie comes back. Marcus Griffin.
Dead ball, personal foul on the offense. 15 yards from the succeeding spot, 1st and 10.
Well, that's not good for the Chaps. I was saying Marcus Griffin goes one play, 80 yards on the scamper down the right sideline. Extra point was good. Bowie went on top, 7-6. Then a safety as Bowie did not connect on the snap from the center to the punter. It went over the punter's head at the 8:13 mark in the second quarter, and that put the Chaps on top, 8-7. We went into halftime 8-7 in the third quarter at the 7:37 mark. A 19-yard run by Tyler Campbell. 15-7 Chaps. 7 minutes later, a 1-yard run by the quarterback Walker. 22-7, and then early in the fourth quarter, a 44-yard field goal by Richard Gray made it 25-7.
Nick Campbell does get credit for the yardage. They're calling it a post-possession foul. So the first down was gained before the penalty. So now after the first down is achieved, they're going to mark off the personal foul yardage, and that's where the new possession will start. So that's actually a break. I mean, you never want to lose yards or go the wrong way, but for Westlake, that's actually pretty beneficial considering the infraction.
4 penalties, 43 yards for the Chaps. Garza in motion to the left. Handoff to Scott at left guard. Plunges forward up to the 33, maybe the 34-yard line. And the clock continues to move. Right now it's the ally of the Chaps. 4:33 remaining in the contest. Well, we've got 10 hours of NFL action this Sunday on the Zone, starting with the Dallas Cowboys and Carolina Panthers from Texas Stadium. Then the Browns visit Tampa Bay at 3, and the Finns take on the Broncos at 7. Where Austin's home for the Cowboys, AM 1300, the Zone. Just a wall-to-wall football weekend on the Zone. Good one last night. Craig Way had Reagan and Anderson.
Wild game.
Third down, check that, 2nd and 5. Campbell gets the handoff at right tackle for 2 to the 37. And every time they run this football, John, as Drew Zaromsky makes the tackle, one of those two-way players, every time they run the football, the clock continues to move.
Well, and I think, you know, that's to the advantage of both teams right now. I think Bowie probably understands that they're not going to come away with this win. I think Westlake feels like they are, and I think at this point you say good fight, good battle. Let's not risk injuries for either of us. Let's shake hands and get out of here. So I think both sides content to, you know, to keep things uptight and just run it between the tackles.
Bill Walker from the Westlake 36-yard line. It's a handoff to Scott, puts 2 hands over the football and spins forward for the first down as number 40 goes across the 40 to the 41-yard line. And number 42 for Bowie makes the tackle in Michael Griffin. And you got to like that hard running from Matthew Scott, who had a fumble in the first half. He had a fumble last week, and that time when he got the handoff, he put 2 hands over the ball and protected it. He wasn't going to let go of that thing, and he picks up the first down. So it's 1st and 10 for the Chaps from their own 41 with 3:11 remaining in the game. You think Coach Schrader's going to try to get another one on the scoreboard?
No, absolutely not. If it happens, it happens. But so far, we've seen 4 straight runs between the tackles.
Tough running up the middle for Campbell. He picks up 3. And Casey Hipp on the stop. Downstairs, Chuck Licata. Chuck, how you doing?
Guys, as you can imagine, a little bit of somber mood on the Bowie sidelines. The players, I think they've pretty much given up on this one, and the fans certainly have. They are now heading out to the parking lot in droves, but congratulate the fans. They showed up in full force here tonight at CHAP Stadium.
It's been a great crowd, great atmosphere for football, and the weather has been perfect. This is the 10th play of the drive for the Chaps. Slutz gets the handoff. He's got 6 big ones around the left side, close to midfield, a yard short of picking up the first down. On the stop, Jet Minor, and we're approaching the 2-minute mark.
When playoff time comes around, and I know we're thinking way ahead of the game here for Westlake, but I know that there are a lot of things that Ron Schrader would like to clean up before the playoffs tend to get. I mean, first of all, I'd like to get out of the district race and make the playoffs, but if he does get into the playoffs, you see the momentum that's happening here. They are going to end up with Tyler Campbell, Justin Joyce, Jim Slutz, Matthew Scott, Brian Bailey, all guys that are capable of taking a handoff and advancing the ball.
Speaking of Tyler Campbell, huge hole up the middle. He's down to the Bowie 45, and the clock is down to 1:42 in the fourth quarter. Sam Imbriaco, the 5'10", 180-pound senior weak side linebacker on the stop, and a flag down on the play. One man who's been very busy tonight is Howard Seitzman, our referee. Yeah, you can hear the crowd. The crowd is hanging around to their credit. Here's Howard Seitzman.
Please come up to the press box.
Holding on the offense, and that will back up the Chaparral.
Well, certainly not a thing of beauty, and I know that they're going to take a look at it, but I don't think there's any question that this is as good a team as Westlake is going to play all year.
Personal foul on the offense. They had a first down. We'll set it up 1st and 10, 15 yards from the succeeding spot.
These guys are good,
Well, I'm talking, and I understand that there's a team that already handled Westlake and gave them a loss, A&M Consolidated, who's still playing good football, but I'm talking about in terms of ability and in terms of effort. It's a talented football team, Bowie is. I mean, they're just a little bit shy on depth right now, and having guys play both ways is never advantageous. But they're going to make some noise in this district race. And for Westlake, I talked about the different guys that have been able to get their hands on the ball and get some experience and some reps. Coaching is about doing what you do best, and I know Ron, takes a lot of pride in his offensive scheme, but hey, if you've got to run it 50 times and come away with a win, I'm sure he would love to do it.
This time it's Bailey with blockers in front of him, and he is tackled, I believe, inbounds across the 45-yard line. So on 1st and 10, Keelan Davis knocks him out of bounds, a gain of, we'll call it 6, and the clock continues to roll. John, before this thing concludes, let's go back to your keys to the game before this thing started. The 3 things that Westlake needed to do to get the victory, and the 3 things that Bowie needed to do to get the victory.
Well, we thought that they needed to establish Tyler Campbell. Now, at halftime, he only had 5 touches. Didn't think that was enough. You take a look now for the game. He now has 23 carries in the ball game, which means they gave it to him 18 times in the second half.
Call it 19 now as he cuts back across the grain.
Penalty flag.
There's a flag down on the play. And he's inside the 40-yard line.
I would say that's establishing Tyler Campbell.
Yes.
You give it to him 19 times in a half of football, that's establishing. We said they needed to control Michael Griffin. Well, they did a pretty decent job in the first half. He had 1 breakaway run of 80 yards for the game. He is 124 yards rushing, but again, that's on 13 carries. You take away 80 of those, so you say he's got 12 carries for 44 yards. That's a pretty good grip.
He had a great return also.
He had a great kickoff return that they weren't able to cash in points on. And we said finally they needed to maintain their focus, eliminate the silly mistakes. Well, have they done that? I don't know.
Offense, 10 yards, previous spot, replay the down.
Chaps are tacking on a couple of more penalties here late in the game.
These are the mental mistakes that we talked about.
But the game's out of hand. And what about, do we finish the Chaps keys there?
Yeah, well, we talked, they had an interception, they had a fumble. They actually had another fumble they were able to get back, but I think the penalties are going to frustrate Ron tremendously.
What about the Bowie keys?
The Bowie keys were Michael Griffin. They had to establish Michael Griffin and get him, I'm not sure if they gave him the ball enough, to tell you the truth. 12 carries, 13 carries. I think they would have liked to have seen it in his hands a little bit more often.
Tyler Campbell spins forward for 7 yards, brought down by Brandon Pennick. And it's 3rd and short coming up with 39 seconds left to go, John.
We said that Bowie needed to survive the first 5 minutes of each half. They did that in the first half. It was 0-0 after the first quarter. Second half, they did not do that because of a mental mistake again. They forced Westlake to punt on their first possession of the second half, but in punt formation, an offsides call gave Westlake new life. They went down, drove in for a touchdown, first possession, second half. And Bowie just hasn't been a factor in this half. And finally, dare to win. The play calling was imaginative. They just simply did not execute it. You have to give Westlake's defense credit for that.
A couple of halfback tosses that one was nearly picked and the other one was. That's going to do it for this one. The Chaps don't even have to snap the football again. The teams will line up at midfield and shake hands. And the final score will be the Westlake Chaparrals 25 and the Bowie Bulldogs 7. So now 13 times the Chaps and Bulldogs have met up, and Westlake owns a 13-0 record. But the Bowie Bulldogs were gritty tonight, and they made it quite a contest, especially in the first half when it was 18-7. Or I beg your pardon, 8-7. And then Westlake opens it up in the second half, and a bright future for Jeff Abels. And this is his first career loss as a head coach. He was 5-0 coming into this one. It's his first season at the helm, and he loses tonight. And who else to lose to than the Westlake Chaparrals?
Well, I wonder if that's an omen. I wonder if that means that Miami's going to lose to Florida State tomorrow, because that's previously the only other unbeaten coach I know of anywhere.
Larry Coker.
That hasn't lost a game. And since we're probably not going to bring it up and it's not going to get said anywhere, I think we should say what a night Richard Gray had. I think it goes overlooked a lot of times. I know he's had his struggles at times this year. His kickoffs were terrific, and he even prevented a touchdown on a kickoff return.
All right, let's go downstairs. Chuck Licata has corralled head coach Ron Schrader. Take it away.
All right, guys, thank you, Coach Schrader. Well, 25-7 on the scoreboard at the end of the second half. It was 8-7 after the first half. Obviously, you probably felt you guys played a little bit better, and you took care of the football very well in the second half.
Well, I think the thing that happened is that we got some turnovers. And we felt like, all week we felt like we were going to have to play together as a team and, eliminate mistakes. And, in the second half, we got a couple of, interception. Coroni makes a big interception. We get the fumble. And we were able to move on the ball on the ground. In the first half, we were throwing the ball. And Aaron Garza had a great first half. But we were really trying to kind of get them out of their game plan, because I'm sure they were looking to stop Campbell because he gained 258 yards. So we kind of, last week, so we kind of stayed away from him early. But then the second half, we really took control of the offensive line. We have a veteran group in that offensive line, and those kids did an excellent job. Campbell's running hard. Brian Bailey made a big key run for us, the first time we scored. So, it was just a team victory. I'm really proud of the kids.
Bowie came in with high expectations, high hopes, and you guys beat him again at CHAP Stadium. Maybe a statement message for Westlake, especially since you guys have overcome so many injuries this year.
I don't know if it's a statement. All I know is there's some tough teams in this district, with San Marcos, Hayes, Austin High. We're going to play Crockett next week. There's going to be some tough games like the game tonight, and I'm just lucky to get out of here because Bowie has an outstanding team. They're not 5-0. Well, they're 5-1 now, but they were 5-0 for a good reason. They have some outstanding athletes. Michael Griffith catches the kickoff in the end zone and takes it. I guess they took it all the way back. There were so many things that went on during this game. They just scare the daylights out of you. They have so many skilled people, and proud of where our kids play. We hung on. We kept them from scoring, and that was a big key to the football game.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, guys, 63 district victories in a row and counting, guys.
You're right about that. Still the nation's longest district win streak, and the Bowie Bulldogs had a modest 2-game win streak in District 25-5A. That comes to an end. Westlake improves to 5-1, 3-0 in the district. Bowie drops to 5-1 as well. They are now 2-1 in District 25-5A. The final score